Chapter 1171. The enemy who dragged Ning Fan out of the time samsara was undoubtedly Great Emperor Mo Luo. However, there was one thing that Ning Fan did not understand. The Great Emperor Mo Luo that he met at the moment seemed to have yet to become a sovereign emperor. His cultivation base was only at the peak immortal king realm. It was too weak. However, in the time and space he was in, Great Emperor Mo Luo should have already become a sovereign emperor, and become one of the 9 great devil ancestors of the ancient demon's abyss. So, the Great Emperor Mo Luo that he met now was not the future Great Emperor Mo Luo, but the Great Emperor Mo Luo from countless years ago? Did he accidentally run into him during a time and space travel? Lowly criminal of time and space, repent for your fate of dying tragically. Run away as much as you can. Cry hate and beg for mercy. If you meet other guards, you might still be able to keep your life. However, you are unlucky to run into my hands. Ha 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 ha. My slave, Six-Wing, tell me, has this brat been scared silly by me? Why is he not saying a word? Killing such a coward is really too boring. Great Immortal Mo Luo, who could not use his eyesight, opened his empty eyes and laughed wildly, while asking the six-winged giant who was his mount. Ning Fan was slightly speechless. He began to doubt his own senses. Was the person that he met really the Great Emperor Mo Luo of the past? His standards are a bit low. His behavior is completely like a fool. Master, there is no fear on this criminal's face. Be careful. The situation doesn't seem right. This person gives me a very dangerous feeling. The six-winged giant answered respectfully. Oh, six-winged. You are good at everything except that you are too cautious and boring. Fine. Today, I will let you witness the power of the dark samsara. This is the technique that all guards of the 6 paths of samsara must learn. It's really useful to kill a criminal of time and space. Great Immortal Mo Luo's empty eyes suddenly flashed with black light. The shadow of a black tree that was as tall as the sky was reflected in his eyes. For the second time, the dark samsara was activated. Ning Fan didn't even have the time to react. His body was pierced by dozens of black tree branches condensed from the power of darkness without any warning. He looked like a soldier who was shot by arrows or a hedgehog. He was in an extremely sorry state. Not bad. It's actually not ordinary darkness energy. It's not affected by my dark yin-yang. Moreover, from the moment the black branches appeared to the moment they pierced through my body, there was no time lag at all. This was an attack at the level of karma. The moment the black tree branch appeared, it directly pierced through my body. Moreover, these black tree branches are born with tremendous sealing power. Once someone is pierced by them, it would be very difficult for them to break free with brute force unless they are second-level quasi-saints or above. Their cultivation base and mobility would be sealed by the black tree branches, and they would be at the mercy of their enemies. Blood trickled down from the corner of Ning Fan's mouth. His eyes glowed with green light. He instantly saw through the details of Great Immortal Mo Luo's attack. However, he was still injured. Not simple. Little fellow, I've used this technique to kill hundreds and thousands of space-time criminals. It's the first time I've seen someone like you who can see through the dark reincarnation branch's mysteries. It seems to be too much of a pity to kill you. How about this? This great immortal will give you a way out. Hide it from the people above, and secretly spare your life. However, you have to be my slave and allow me to devour your Dao corpses unconditionally when I need them for my cultivation. What do you think? As long as you agree to this request, you can live for a very long time. My suggestion isn't bad, right? Great Immortal Mo Luo was shocked by Ning Fan's sharp observation. After being surprised, his expression became scheming. He chuckled strangely as if he wanted to spare Ning Fan's life. From Great Immortal Mo Luo's point of view, Ning Fan, who was subdued by the dark reincarnation, was already powerless to resist him. His life and death were all in his hands. His willingness to give Ning Fan a way out was already considered as him being merciful. If Ning Fan does not appreciate it, he would not mind killing Ning Fan with his next attack. So the reason why you're taking in a slave is just to devour him. Ning Fan seemed to have recalled the past in the Rain World in the past. He remembered the various interactions he had with the Six-Winged Clan, the Giant Devil Clan, the Mist Horn Clan and the Ghost Eye Clan. If it wasn't for Lightning Emperor Tai Su who saved him in the past, Perhaps his fate would be to be devoured by Great Emperor Mo Luo one day in the future. Without Lightning Emperor Tai Su, his path of cultivation would have already ended a long time ago. Be straightforward. Do you agree to my suggestion or not? Great Immortal Mo Luo said impatiently. Of course I won't agree to it. You and I are mortal enemies. Of course to you, these are all grievances of the future. You who is in the past probably won't understand them. Ning Fan said expressionlessly. Grievances of the future? So it turns out that you, a junior, came from the future, and even became enemies with me in the future. If that's the case, I really don't want to spare your life anymore. You can be at ease. Just die. Qi, the black branch that was inserted into Ning Fan's body suddenly began to devour his flesh and blood. It multiplied and grew inside his body like a plant, causing his flesh and blood to explode. Even his primordial spirit was minced into pieces. He only lasted for 3 breaths and the dark reincarnation branch has already devoured him? Too weak. Great Immortal Mo Luo said disdainfully. It's not that this person is too weak. It's Master who is too strong. The 6-winged giant flattered. Ha ha ha. Your mouth is getting sweeter and sweeter. You're right. You're right. It's me who is too strong. This young man is not weak. He is not weak. Aha. The master and servant pair were laughing merrily. Suddenly their expressions changed greatly. At the same time, they felt chills running down their spines. To their surprise, Ning Fan, who was supposed to be dead, appeared not far away with a flash of purple demonic light. He was actually still alive. He actually used the power of an illusion technique to confuse his enemies, making them think that he had been killed. Impossible. It's impossible for someone who is subdued by the dark reincarnation to escape. You're not a second-level quasi-sage. How is it possible that you're still alive? Even though Great Immortal Mo Luo could not see, he could still sense how terrifying Ning Fan was at this moment. Cold sweat flowed uncontrollably from his forehead. When did you get the illusion that I was hit by your attack? The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curved into a cold smile. He activated his eternal true body and turned into a golden flame giant, pouncing towards Great Immortal Mo Luo. The baleful qi that Ning Fan gave off at this moment was too strong. Great Immortal Mo Luo could not imagine that Ning Fan, who was just an immortal king realm cultivator, had actually killed many immortal emperors and half-step saints. The aura force of the golden flame giant that rushed towards Great Immortal Mo Luo made him shiver. He realized that he had run into an iron plate today. If he knew that Ning Fan was such a powerful time traveler, he would definitely turn a blind eye to it and not question Ning Fan about his crimes. However, it was already too late for regrets now. He could only fight with all his might. Dark Samsara, activate. At the moment when Great Immortal Mo Luo launched his attack, Ning Fan's golden flame giant was penetrated by tens of gigantic wooden thorns, rendering it immobile. Have you restrained him? Great Immortal Mo Luo said with lingering fear. Master, be careful. This time it's still an illusion technique. The 6-winged king activated his sensing technique and warned Ning Fan in shock. As expected, the golden flame giant that was pierced by a large number of wooden thorns turned into an illusion bubble and disappeared. The real golden flame giant reappeared with a flash of purple demonic light. Finally, it approached Great Immortal Mo Luo and his servant. Illusion technique, activate. Great Immortal Mo Luo and the 6-winged giant who were controlled by the illusion technique actually killed each other and died at the same time. With a sizzling sound, both of their bodies turned into devil smoke and dissipated. It was not that Ning Fan did not want to use other methods to kill these two enemies. It was just that he was currently traveling through time and space with his minor accomplishment lightning technique. Thus, he could not touch anyone. Thus, he could only resort to trickery and kill these two enemies with an illusion technique. It's you. It's you. This baleful qi. It's you. Last time, I Lu Yi saw you in the 6 paths of reincarnation well. Damn it. Damn it. My devil sense died in the interrogation space. I can't get any information about it. Even if I meet you in the future, I won't know that my devil sense has been killed by you. Damn it. Before Great Immortal Mo Luo disappeared, He said something that made Ning Fan feel strange. In the past, Great Emperor Mo Luo had also said something similar. However, he did not say it to Ning Fan. Instead, he said it to the expert in purple robes who mysteriously appeared in the past. I will help you get rid of the 30% devil sense of this fiend. As for the remaining 70% which is sealed by Mo Luo Mountain, when your cultivation base is strong enough, you can go to the devil world and kill him. You can't do this. I, Lu Yi, used to guard the 6 paths of reincarnation. He has seen you before. He has seen you before. Samsara is really interesting. Karma is connected. No matter how high one's cultivation realm is, or how much karma one has experienced, what one comes into contact with is still just a superficial part of it. Perhaps only by completing all of one's samsara can one understand the complete karma of oneself. Ning Fan muttered to himself thoughtfully. No one knew what great immortal Mo Luo's words before he disappeared had made him think of. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to kill Great Emperor Mo Luo and his 6-winged servant. They probably didn't come to capture me with their true bodies. Instead, they projected part of their devil sense in front of me using some kind of method. What I killed was just some devil sense. Ning Fan shook his head regretfully. When he was young, he was bullied by Great Emperor Mo Luo a little too much. Originally, he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to get back at him. However, he did not manage to truly kill Great Emperor Mo Luo in the end. What he killed was just a part of the devil sense of Great Emperor Mo Luo and his servant. The two of them did not come here with their true bodies. They just used some kind of method to send their devil sense to this place. Ning Fan felt regretful that he did not manage to kill Great Emperor Mo Luo. If he killed the past Great Emperor Mo Luo, would the future Great Emperor Mo Luo be affected? Ning Fan was very curious about this. Or perhaps it was because he did not manage to kill Great Immortal Mo Luo today that there would be a future Great Emperor Mo Luo. Was his inability to kill Great Immortal Mo Luo a destined thing from the very beginning? Perhaps the script of samsara was written from the very beginning. Since Great Emperor Mo Luo existed in the future, it was impossible for him to kill the past. Perhaps it was impossible for the samsara to be changed by accidents. All accidents were also destined, just like today's encounter. The only thing that could change the samsara was the power that surpassed the level of samsara. It was destined that I would kill the devil sense of Great Immortal Mo Luo. His devil sense was destroyed and he doesn't remember me. When we meet in the future and plot against me, he also doesn't remember the past. Everything is just the script of samsara. How strong must one's cultivation base be in order to walk out of this predetermined script? In front of the intricate and complicated samsara, Ning Fan once again felt how insignificant he was. He also felt that his knowledge was insufficient. However, he did not lament for too long. It was because he was attracted by the spoils of war in this battle. It was a small section of a dark tree branch. Even though Great Immortal Mo Luo's devil sense had descended into this world, the spoils of war that he brought with him were his true body and not his projection. Thus he could seize it. It was clearly just a small section of a dark tree branch, but it gave Ning Fan a very strong sense of danger. If it wasn't for Ning Fan's powerful illusion technique, he would have already been killed by Great Immortal Mo Luo twice. Divine abilities and magic treasures of the first level of the law of causality were always hard to guard against. Tell me your name and your origin. Ning Fan activated his ability to communicate with the dark tree branch directly. Dark Samsara branch, Dark Samsara branch, Dark Samsara branch? Ning Fan had never heard of a dark samsara tree, nor did he know what a dark samsara branch was. If he takes a closer look at this small branch, he could actually sense the chi of a third-step expert. It was not hard to imagine that the so-called dark samsara tree must be an item with a great background even in the true world. With this item, it seems like I can start to improve the dark illusion technique that is derived from the great accomplishment demonized Dark Knight Dao Elephant. Unfortunately, I can't touch anything when I travel through time using the fate-reversing lightning technique. I probably can't touch this item as well, let alone bring it back to the real world. Ning Fan stretched out his hand regretfully. He thought that he could not touch this branch. However, the strange thing was that he actually touched it. This feeling was similar to the time when he obtained the great accomplishment demonized Dark Knight Dao Elephant. In the illusory world, he obtained the four symbols Blood Spring. In this world, there were also some special items that could connect the void and reality, the past and the future. The four symbols Blood Spring was such an item. The Dark Samsara branch was actually such an item as well. I didn't expect that I would also make a mistake. Since the enemy used this item to attack me, it means that this item can touch me and hurt me. Of course, I can also touch this item. However, I wonder if I can bring this item back to the real world from the past if I can touch it. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He felt that he could give it a try. Then, he thought of something else and felt extremely regretful. Speaking of which, why could I stay in the previous time for millions of years when I used the fate-reversing lightning technique? Moreover, I didn't even notice the passage of time at all. That strange state I was in just now seemed to be quite extraordinary. Now I can't enter that state no matter what. It seems like there's no way for me to study that strange state in detail. Ning Fan sighed regrettably. The law of samsara only allowed his minor accomplishment lightning technique to stay in the different time and space for around 40 years. The strange state that allowed him to go against the law of samsara was amazing no matter how he thought about it. It's really a pity that I can't enter that strange state again. Rumble. Ning Fan erased the Mo Luo imprint on the Dark Samsara branch and activated it. With its power, he easily destroyed the interrogation space of Great Immortal Mo Luo. At the moment when the space was destroyed, his consciousness returned to the real world. At the same time, somewhere far away, Great Immortal Mo Luo and the six-winged giant who were monitoring the six paths of reincarnation, while using their devil senses, woke up from their meditation at the same time. They coughed and their faces were filled with shock. How is this possible? My devil sense has actually been destroyed by that space-time criminal. What kind of background does that space-time criminal have? He isn't even afraid of the Dark Samsara branch. Could it be that his cultivation base is at the second level of the quasi-saint realm or above? Great Immortal Mo Luo's forehead was filled with cold sweat. I'm doomed. My Dark Samsara branch couldn't be sent back. It seems like it has been snatched away by that bastard. I'm going to die. As a guard of the six paths of reincarnation, well, I've lost my samsara branch. It's a serious crime. I'll be punished by having my samsara erased. The second drop of cold sweat appeared. So we can only run away now. The mountain and sea realm is a place where the forces of the sage sects are everywhere. We certainly can't stay here any longer. Six-winged giant, tell me, should we run to the mortal world that's under the control of the Jie clan, or to the defying earth world where the immortals are fighting? Great Immortal Mo Luo asked his servant, the six-winged giant with a long face. He no longer had the demeanor of a master. Let's go to the defying earth world. Zhu Mo has already advised us to seek refuge with immortal sovereign Zido in the defying earth world. I heard that ancient devils can live without bowing down to him there. The six-winged giant pondered for a while and answered. Is that true? We can actually live with our heads held high after seeking refuge with immortal sovereign Zido. Great Immortal Mo Luo was extremely shocked and moved. As for whether or not they sought refuge with immortal sovereign Zido, because of what happened today, history seemed to have already proven it. In the secret place of the true lightning clan, Ning Fan woke up from his meditation. Looking at the Dark Samsara branch that had returned to his consciousness, the corners of his lips curved into a smile. He had actually brought this item from the past to reality. It's too heaven-defying. With this item, my dark illusion technique can now possess extremely strong destructive power. In the past, my illusion technique lacked offensive power. However, in the future, it won't. However, now isn't the right time to refine this item. I still have many questions about the reason why the true lightning clan was destroyed. It seems like I need to perform the fate-reversing lightning technique for the fourth time. Even though I can't enter the strange state that I was stuck in for millions of years in the strange time and space previously, as long as I've entered it once, I will still gain something. I have a bold idea about performing the fate-reversing lightning technique for the fourth time. After resting for a while, Ning Fan performed the fate-reversing lightning technique for the fourth time. However, compared to the previous fate-reversing lightning technique, There was obviously something different about the lightning technique he performed this time. It was an unfamiliar time. It was not an unfamiliar place. A butterfly suddenly flew into the great overarching heaven of the Purple Dough Immortal region. The fourth time Ning Fan performed the fate-reversing lightning technique, he directly landed in the great overarching heaven. It was the place where immortal sovereign Zido taught the Tao. The great overarching heaven was supposed to be the place with the strictest security in the Purple Dough Immortal region. However, at this moment, there was not a single person guarding the place and no one was teaching the Tao here. Immortal sovereign Zido was not there. The Purple Dough celestial beings were not there either. The entire great overarching heaven was in ruins. Traces of weapons could be seen everywhere. Could it be that the fourth time my lightning technique will land in the time after the destruction of the Purple Dough Immortal region? The butterfly that flew into the great overarching heaven muttered to itself. This butterfly was none other than Ning Fan. Moreover, Ning Fan, who had returned to the past this time, actually retained part of his consciousness. Logically speaking, those who performed the lightning technique would return to the past with the consciousness that was closest to their original form. In the past, Ning Fan returned to the past in his human form. However, this time, it was unknown what kind of profound principle he had comprehended, and he actually returned in the form of a butterfly. Because of this, he somehow managed to retain his memories without dispersing and could move around in this place with his consciousness. Unfortunately, no one was able to see him. The Purple Dough Immortal region has finally ceased to exist. No, something is not right. There are still movements in a certain corner of the great overarching heaven. Ning Fan suddenly sensed something and flew towards a certain corner of the great overarching heaven. There, an intense battle was currently going on. In the dilapidated great overarching heaven, a white-haired giant whose body was surrounded by blood-red lightning was fighting against 1,000 Grand Firmament Tribulation spirits. The weakest of the Grand Firmament Tribulation spirits who were attacking the white-haired giant were at least 5 stars true blood. There were even a few Grand Firmament Tribulation spirits who had king bloodlines which were comparable to saints. A battle of this level was just too terrifying. Ning Fan was shocked by the terrifying fluctuations of the battle in front of him. What shocked him even more was that white-haired giant. That white-haired giant was just too strong. With just his strength, he managed to defeat 1,000 Grand Firmament Tribulation spirits, without giving them any chance to fight back. In the end, after that white-haired giant forcefully killed 2 of the Grand Firmament Tribulation spirits, the remaining Grand Firmament Tribulation spirits fled in panic and retreated from the great overarching heaven. In the end, the dilapidated great overarching heaven returned to silence. As for that white-haired giant, he was holding a red lightning bolt in his hand. He was like the guardian god of the great overarching heaven, guarding this wasteland until his death. That white-haired giant seemed to have been dead for many years. He had already lost his consciousness a long time ago, but he was still able to fight for the Purple Dough Immortal region. The appearance of that white-haired giant gave Ning Fan a familiar feeling. After taking a closer look, he realized that this person was actually Wuxia. It was not Sage Wuxia. It was immortal sovereign Wuxia who had a cultivation base of the 4th step. However, he had already fallen and no longer had any consciousness. A samsara traveler of the 2nd step. The result of the samsara test is that he is harmless. This person can't be killed. Immortal sovereign Wuxia muttered to himself while staring at Ning Fan's direction. He could still see Ning Fan. However, he would never talk about the happiness of fish with Ning Fan anymore. The Purple Dough Immortal region has already been destroyed, but Senior Wuxia is still guarding the great overarching heaven. What's going on? What does this have to do with the suppression of the true Lightning Clan? Ning Fan felt his mind go blank. His mind was filled with all sorts of speculations, but he could not be sure of the answer. Wait. The chi on Senior Wuxia's body is similar to the blood pool sacrifice of the true Lightning Clan. Could it be? Ning Fan looked at immortal sovereign Wuxia whose eyes were filled with emptiness. He could feel the latter's will to protect the Purple Dough Immortal region, even after his death. At this moment, he had a guess that was closest to the truth about the cause and effect of the suppression of the true Lightning Clan. It seems like the true Lightning Clan didn't betray the Purple Dough Immortal region like what the rumors say. The truth might be the opposite. Ning Fan guessed inwardly. However, at the next moment, a loud shout came from an extremely far distance, interrupting Ning Fan's thoughts. An unprecedented sense of danger filled his entire body. I've detected it. The criminal who snatched the dark samsara branch has stepped into a different time and space again. Kill. A few envoys of samsara with the cultivation base of Saint Realm came to capture Ning Fan. The reason why they wanted to capture him was naturally because Ning Fan had snatched the dark samsara branch from the other envoys of samsara when he traveled through time and space previously. Not good. Ning Fan's expression changed. Without saying anything, he deactivated the fate-reversing lightning technique and returned to the real world. Just as he left, the power of darkness that filled the sky swept towards him. However, it could not touch Ning Fan. Damn it! He actually traveled through time and space with his memories. He is obviously just at the second step. How did he do this? This brat's means are really unimaginable. If I knew that this brat carried his consciousness, I wouldn't have said anything in anger no matter what. This really pisses me off. The fourth time he used the fate-reversing lightning technique ended in a very short period of time. When he woke up from his meditative state, his back was already soaked with cold sweat. That was close. I almost died in the different time and space. Traveling through time and space is actually so dangerous. I didn't expect that snatching the dark samsara branch during the third time would actually lead to such a serious consequence. In the future, when I travel through samsara, I will definitely be captured by the old monsters of the Saint Realm. It seems like I can't use the fate-reversing lightning technique recklessly. Ning Fan's face was filled with pity. He still had too many questions that he wanted to seek answers from the samsara. Without the fate-reversing lightning technique, he could not find out many things. Moreover, he felt a lingering fear. If he didn't use a trick to travel through time and space with his memories when he used the fate-reversing lightning technique for the fourth time, he would definitely be killed by those saints while he was in a daze. Ning Fan, who did not have his memories, would not know how to deactivate the fate-reversing lightning technique, even if he encountered danger after traveling through time and space. He also did not know how to run away. All he could do was stare blankly. Fortunately, he had his memories with him. That was why he could retreat in time. Even though the duration of the fate-reversing lightning technique for the fourth time was very short, Ning Fan still managed to obtain some extremely valuable information. He had many guesses about the reason why the true lightning clan was suppressed. After calming himself down, he sent out a message transmitting flying sword to Immortal King Fei Feng. When Immortal King Fei Feng received the message, she immediately came over. As soon as she saw Ning Fan's expression, she knew that Ning Fan probably already knew the reason why the true lightning clan was suppressed. Little friend is really a genius. I was worried that 10 days were too short, and it would not be enough for little friend to cultivate the fate-reversing lightning technique. However, I didn't expect little friend to only spend a few days to complete your cultivation and travel through time. Moreover, it seems like you've also obtained a great harvest when you traveled through time and space. Even though Fei Feng could not see the wonders of materialization, she could vaguely tell that the current Ning Fan had undergone a huge change compared to before. Senior, you're flattering me. How many times did you travel through time and space within 10 days? 4 times. You actually traveled through time and space 4 times in a row. Won't your sea of consciousness be unable to endure it? Fei Feng was astonished. She thought that Ning Fan would only be able to travel through time and space twice at most, and that was already an overestimation. However, she did not expect it to be 4 times. The sturdiness of this young man's sea of consciousness is just too abnormal. Ning Fan naturally would not explain the strength of his sea of consciousness to Fei Feng. He was also not willing to waste time on this matter. Instead, he went straight to the point. I already have some guesses about the true lightning clan. However, I still want to hear Senior's answer first to confirm it. Was the true lightning clan really suppressed because they betrayed the Purple Do immortal domain? Of course not. Fei Feng said bitterly. In other words, not only is the true lightning clan not the sinners of the Purple Do immortal domain, but they're also the hidden heroes of the domain. Ning Fan sighed. That's right. The ancestors of the true Lightning Clan sacrificed their lives, and the entire clan in order to protect the Purple Doe immortal domain. We are not traitors. I don't know the exact details, and the clan did not pass it down to us. Since ancient times, the members of the true Lightning Clan had always thought that we were the enemies of the Purple Doe immortal domain. Even Tai Su also believed so before she left in the past. However, after Tai Su left, my grandfather accidentally found out part of the truth when he went through reincarnation. My clan is not the enemy of the Purple Doe immortal domain, but a member of the Purple Doe immortal cultivators. The reason why we were suppressed was to protect the Purple Doe immortal domain. Using the bloodline power of the remaining members of the clan, to preserve the corpse of the ancestors of the true Lightning Clan. What a heaven-defying sacrificial method. Ning Fan sighed even more. Yes. If that's the case, I only have one last question left. Go ahead, little friend. If I save the true Lightning Clan, I'm afraid the ancestors of your clan will vanish into thin air. Yes. Whether you want to save the true Lightning Clan or not, it's up to you. I'm already tired of living. It doesn't matter whether I live or die. The other members of the true Lightning Clan have also gotten used to the life of slaves. What's the difference if I save them or not? Fei Feng left with a bitter smile. Once again, Ning Fan was the only one left in the secret place of the true Lightning Clan. Ning Fan looked at the sacrificial blood pool of the true Lightning Clan, and finally got the real answer about the reason why the true Lightning Clan was suppressed. The reason why the true Lightning Clan was suppressed was not because of their betrayal at all. Everything was decided by immortal sovereign Wuxia. The sacrifice of the true Lightning Clan was to protect the Purple Doe immortal domain. As long as the true Lightning Clan was still sealed, immortal sovereign Wuxia, who was far away in the true world, would have an endless supply of power. Even if he dies, he would still be able to protect the Purple Doe immortal domain and the broken great overarching heaven. However, if the seal of the true Lightning Clan is broken, immortal sovereign Wuxia would lose his power, and his corpse would vanish into thin air. The reason why immortal sovereign Zido was unwilling to let Ning Fan lift the seal on the true Lightning Clan was because he wanted immortal sovereign Wuxia to continue fighting for the Purple Doe immortal domain. It was the will of immortal sovereign Zido. It was also the will of immortal sovereign Wuxia himself. Where there is light, there will be shadows. If you want peace, there must be sacrifices. Previously, Ning Fan did not understand immortal sovereign Wuxia's words. Now he understood. It turned out that when immortal sovereign Wuxia looked at the fish in the river, he already had the thought of dying. Thus, he was mentally prepared to sacrifice everything for the Purple Doe immortal domain. Hence, immortal sovereign Wuxia sacrificed himself and the entire true Lightning Clan. However, what did he get in return? In return, the entire true Lightning Clan was suppressed as a traitor. For the past 1 billion years, the members of the clan had been living a life worse than pigs and dogs. In the illusory world, no one knew about the sacrifice of the true Lightning Clan. No one knew about the dedication of the true Lightning Clan. When the Phone Clan in the true Lightning world was still bullying the true Lightning Clan, had they ever thought that the ones they were bullying were the hidden heroes who protected the Purple Doe immortal domain? This was immortal sovereign Wuxia's will. He would rather bear a stain and a lifetime of infamy in order to protect the Purple Doe immortal domain from the shadows. Even if he dies in battle and loses his consciousness, he would continue to protect the broken great overarching heaven with his broken bones. Immortal sovereign Wuxia's decision made Ning Fan feel deep respect for him. However, he did not dare to agree with him. From this matter, Ning Fan could see the personalities of immortal sovereign Zido and immortal sovereign Wuxia. That kind of personality was able to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. In order to protect more of the Purple Doe immortal cultivators, they could sacrifice a few people. Even if they had to sacrifice themselves, they would not hesitate to do so. This was a proposition that tested the rulers greatly. When lives could be quantified and placed on both ends of the scale, would you want to save one person or 1,000,000 people? Ning Fan asked himself if he could do such a thing. He could not do such a thing. In his eyes, there was no difference whether it was one person or 1,000,000 people. It was even more impossible for him to sacrifice his loved ones, his friends and his loved ones in order to protect the Purple Doe immortal domain. At most, he would sacrifice himself for the things that he wanted to protect. This was the difference between different Daos. Even though I look forward to the Purple Doe immortal domain, I might not be able to become a true Purple Doe immortal cultivator in my entire life. As for the true Lightning Clan, they have already borne too much humiliation for the sake of the Purple Doe immortal domain. They could be said to be the heroes in the shadows. They have obviously contributed to the Purple Doe immortal domain, but they still have to bear the infamy. How unfair is this? The Purple Doe immortal domain that I look forward to is not a world where one person is sacrificed to save everyone. Instead, it is a world where there is no sacrifice. Perhaps this kind of ideal world doesn't exist, just like what Senior Wuxia said. However, it is precisely because it doesn't exist that there is a need to build it. Otherwise, what is the purpose of my entire life of cultivation? Therefore, even if saving the true Lightning Clan this time will go against Immortal Sovereign Zido's will, and let down Immortal Sovereign Wuxia's unyielding fighting spirit, I still want to save them. As for the karma that may be caused by this matter, I, Ning Fan, am willing to bear it all on my own. Boom! Ning Fan suddenly rose to his feet, and turned into a ray of light, rushing out of the secret place of the true Lightning Clan. He rushed out of the bitter cold snow plains of the true Lightning Clan, and flew towards the Feng clan in the true Lightning world. His will had never been as strong as it was right now. At this moment, even if Immortal Sovereign Zido or Wuxia were to come back to life, they would not be able to stop him. The Feng clan was the strongest force in the true Lightning world. At this moment, the grandest Dao fruit meeting was being held in the Feng clan. There was a divine tree in the Feng clan called the Heavenly Demon Lightning Tree. Every 1,000 years, the Heavenly Demon Lightning Technique would bear a batch of Heavenly Demon Dao fruits. That was why the Dao fruit meeting of the Feng clan was held. The Dao fruit meeting was the most important event in the Feng clan. Its importance was even higher than the chaos caused by the middle and low-level cultivators in the true Lightning world. This was also the reason why the 12 venerated lightning ancestors of the Feng clan were not in a hurry to rescue Dao Monarch Purple Thunder, even though they knew that he was captured. There was nothing more important than the Dao fruit meeting. There was nothing more important than Lord Leishu's happiness and anger. If the Dao fruit meeting is stopped halfway, Lord Leishu would certainly be angry. Originally, the amount of blood that they had collected from the experts of the true Lightning clan was too little, and it had already made Lord Leishu unhappy. If they were to stop the Dao fruit meeting halfway at this crucial moment, the consequences would be unimaginable even to the 12 venerated lightning ancestors. There's no other way. We can only let the person who captured Purple Thunder Ancestor enjoy his freedom for a few more days. When the Dao fruit meeting is over, it will be as easy as flipping our palms to capture him together. The few venerated lightning ancestors were talking about this matter with a smile. Suddenly, a spirit sense that was as cold as ice fell from the sky and turned into a rainstorm, enveloping the entire Feng clan. With my order, the Dao fruit meeting of the Feng clan will be stopped immediately. How domineering and undeniable. The arrogance of his words enraged the 12 venerated lightning ancestors. They did not go and find trouble with Ning Fan, but he actually came to their doorstep to seek his death. How audacious! Moreover, he even dared to order the Feng clan to stop the Dao fruit meeting immediately. Who does he think he is? Immortal Sovereign Zido. What right does he have to order the Feng clan to stop the Dao fruit meeting immediately? Someone kill this man. Before Lord Leishu flew into a rage, the 12 venerated lightning ancestors had already informed the entire clan that Ning Fan was to be killed. Chapter 1172. As the 12th venerated lightning gave the order, countless cultivators of the Feng clan rose into the sky and surrounded Ning Fan. Most of these Feng clan cultivators had flesh and blood bodies, and only a small portion of them had bodies constructed from pure lightning power. Cultivators of flesh and blood basically did not have the bloodline of an ancient fae. Those with lightning bodies would more or less have some ancient demon bloodline. The reason why Ning Fan came to the Feng clan was to stir up trouble. However, he was not willing to kill too many people in this place. The reason why the True Thunder clan was suppressed and sealed was so that the entire True Thunder clan could be used as sacrifices to provide energy. As long as the True Thunder clan was sealed, Celestial Emperor Wuxia's corpse, which was far away in the true world, could maintain its combat power and continue fighting. The cultivators of the Feng clan were ordered by Immortal Emperor Zido to guard the seal and monitor the True Thunder clan. In essence, the existence of the Feng clan was only to fulfill their duty. Hence, he was reluctant to kill too many cultivators of the Feng clan. However, this did not mean that he would not kill anyone here. Guarding the True Thunder clan was one thing, but bullying the True Thunder clan was another. Celestial Emperor Zido had ordered the Feng clan to guard the True Thunder tribe, but he didn't order the members of the Feng clan to bully others and commit all sorts of crimes. I won't kill any of the Feng clan cultivators who aren't tainted with evil karma. But if any cultivator of the Feng clan neglects his duty and does evil things to the True Thunder clan, the hero behind the scenes, don't blame me for being merciless. Roar. Ning Fan's expression was merciless. His devil roar reverberated across heaven and earth. Countless cultivators of the Feng clan who had weak cultivation bases coughed out blood from the impact. They lost their ability to fly and fell to the ground. Each of them looked extremely miserable. Without a cultivation base that was beyond the ancient times, a low-grade cultivator of the Feng clan would not even be able to get close to Ning Fan. They would not even be able to withstand a single roar from him. It's the ancient devil's roar. No, this roar not only contained the power of the ancient devils, but also the power of the ancient demons and ancient gods. Who was this person? In the true lightning world, it is absolutely impossible for anyone to possess the divine, demon, and demon bloodlines at the same time. The 12 venerables of thunder paled. Chi. All of a sudden, a ray of purple light descended from the sky and tried to bind Ning Fan. It was the willpower that immortal sovereign Zido had left behind in the true lightning world. It's the remnant energy of a celestial lord. The celestial emperor is going to personally punish this villain. The cultivators of the Feng clan were overjoyed. But in the next moment, they couldn't laugh anymore. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with complicated emotions as he stared at the purple battle, while descending from the sky. How weak was this willpower? It had already remained in the true thunder world for 1 billion years, and it was completely worn down by the long passage of time. Perhaps the will left behind by immortal Emperor Zido here once possessed enormous power. However, that was something from 1 billion years ago. At this moment, this power had already weakened and was close to being exhausted. It was obviously not enough to suppress Ning Fan with this level of immortal sovereign will. Celestial Emperor. O Celestial Emperor, when you personally sealed the True Thunder clan back then, did you ever think that these heroes behind the scenes would be bullied and humiliated by the guards you sent? In the past, the True Thunder clan was extremely huge. The leader of the clan was the dignified immortal sovereign Wuxia. There were probably many saints in the clan. But now, the entire clan is only left with about 400,000 people. There isn't even an immortal sovereign in the clan. Now, I am going to go against your will because I feel that the sealing of the True Thunder clan was a mistake from the very beginning. If saving the True Thunder clan is a mistake to you, then I, Ning Fan, will bear all the consequences. At this moment, Ning Fan also released all of his will. It was a will that was alternating between black and white. It collided violently with immortal Emperor Zido's purple will in the sky. Crack crack crack. The remaining will of immortal Emperor Zido was actually crushed by Ning Fan's will. However, Ning Fan did not have a good time either. His will was also greatly damaged. His incomparably sturdy divine spirit sea of consciousness actually had 7 cracks on it. As expected of immortal Emperor Zido, even though a trace of his will has been left behind for 1 billion years, it can still severely damage my sea of consciousness. He's really too strong. Ning Fan sighed with emotion. While Ning Fan was lamenting his own weakness, the entire Feng clan was shocked by Ning Fan's strength. Is it really possible to destroy the will of a 4th-step immortal sovereign with his own will? Even if it was just a tiny trace of the immortal sovereign's will that was left behind in this place, and that trace of will had been eroded by the wind for 1 billion years, it was still not something that a 2nd-step cultivator could destroy, right? The entire Feng clan exclaimed in surprise as if they had just seen an unbelievable miracle. The strongest aspect of this young man isn't his cultivation base, but his will. In terms of cultivation base, there were many people who surpassed him during the Age of Chaos. However, in terms of the strength of his will, there is absolutely no one below the third step who is stronger than him. Even the will of an immortal sovereign can't do anything to him. Is he a monster? Wait, what is he trying to do now? In the midst of the exclamations, Ning Fan suddenly closed his eyes. His expression was filled with a sense of loss. He was indebted to immortal Emperor Zido for imparting the Tao to him. Going against his master's will was not a good feeling. However, there were some things that he must do once he had made up his mind. Moreover, he must do it thoroughly. Following Ning Fan's will, a rainstorm suddenly swept across the entire True Thunder world. Wherever the rain falls, Ning Fan's spirit sense would be there. This time, Ning Fan spread out his spirit sense. His purpose was different from before. It was not to sense the surroundings but to cast an illusory technique within the True Thunder world. Demonize the dark night and reveal the image of the Tao. At this moment, the entire True Thunder world fell into an eternal night. The massive power of the illusory technique flowed along with the darkness of the night, causing all living beings in the True Thunder world to fall into a state of confusion. Only a few people could resist this illusory technique. What a domineering illusory technique! It can actually attack the cultivators of an entire world. Isn't the range of this attack a little too wide? I've never heard of such an attack before. The expressions of the 12 venerated lightning demons, and the few immortal emperors of the True Thunder world, who were not affected by the illusory technique, changed drastically. At this moment, they were about to witness the perfection of Ning Fan's dark illusion technique. An illusory technique that used rain as a medium to attack from a super long distance was about to be born. It was not an ordinary dark night, but a rainy night. The rain is the range. The night is the illusory technique. The west wind is my Tao sense. In the rainy night, the west wind blew. The west wind carried an indescribable sense of loneliness. It was the ability that Ning Fan had comprehended when he was young. At this moment, it blended into the rainy night and became a part of it. As the west wind blew, the rainy night carried an indescribable sense of loneliness and coldness. It blew the power of the illusory technique into everyone's heart. Even the 12 venerated lightning, and the others who were not affected by Ning Fan's illusory technique fell into the illusory technique the moment they felt a chill in their hearts. However, at the next moment, the 12 venerated lightning and the other emperors of the True Thunder world broke the illusory technique one after another and woke up from their trance. It seems like even though the rainy night has taken shape, the restraining power of this illusory technique is still not enough. If that's the case, Ning Fan opened his eyes. At this moment, he took out a black tree branch that was as long as a finger. Dark Samsara branch. Ning Fan actually pierced this tree branch into his right eye. However, what was strange was that not a single drop of blood flowed out from his right eye. Instead, it perfectly absorbed all the power of this tree branch, causing his right eye to begin to emit an indescribable ancient qi. The reason why he could perfectly absorb the power was because his right eye contained the power of the divine lattice of wood, which was equivalent to that of the palm divine lattice, but higher than that. Under the influence of the power of the divine lattice of wood, the dark tree branch was perfectly absorbed by Ning Fan and melted into his devil eye. The sealing power, karma power, and a trace of samsara power contained in the dark tree branch also fused into Ning Fan's right eye. Then something terrifying happened. At the moment when he absorbed the power of the dark tree branch, the power of Ning Fan's illusory technique increased by more than 10 times. Moreover, there were more changes to it. The entire rainy night gave off an ancient and vicissitude feeling. In the boundless darkness, a dark samsara tree that was as tall as the sky appeared. Under the nourishment of the rainy night, it began to grow crazily in the illusory world. Welcome to my primordial rainy night. No matter how hard the 12 venerated lightning and the others tried to resist, their sea of consciousness was still breached by Ning Fan's illusory technique, and they were pulled into the illusory world of the immemorial rainy night. The so-called immemorial rainy night was an illusory rainy night world that was created using Ning Fan's spiritual world as the carrier and the dark illusion technique as the attacking method. This was the final form of the dark illusion technique that Ning Fan had improved. It was also the strongest illusion technique that Ning Fan had created since he started cultivating the Tao. Even though a few of the 12 venerated lightning were illusion masters, and the strongest expert among them was a half-step saint, they still couldn't withstand the attack of Ning Fan's immemorial rainy night illusion technique. Their minds were forcefully pulled into the illusory world. The group of immortal Emperor Realm old monsters wanted to struggle, but they were shocked to find that their bodies were pierced by tens of dark tree branches the moment they were pulled into the illusory world. They were nailed to the ground like wooden puppets, unable to move even the slightest bit despite the pouring rain. They had been sealed. Ning Fan's illusory technique actually carried a terrifying sealing power. It was too unimaginable. We can't break free. What kind of terrifying sealing power is this? Once you fall into this person's illusory technique, you won't be able to break free unless your strength is one level higher than this person's. Moreover, judging from the chi of this person's magic power, I'm afraid not even a first-level quasi-saint could break free from this illusory technique. Everyone was shocked. There's no need to struggle. In my illusory world, be it time or space, everything is under my control. This is actually an offensive illusory technique. But now, I want to use it to interrogate all of you. Let's start with the weakest person in the illusory world. Qi Ning Fan's figure appeared in the illusory world and flew towards a cultivator who had a blank look in his eyes. He was a mid-grade cultivator of the True Lightning world. He had killed many members of the True Lightning clan, and his favorite thing to do was to humiliate the women of the clan. He sank into Ning Fan's illusory world. All of his memories were presented in front of Ning Fan without any reservation. Ning Fan used the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to go through all of his memories, and confirmed that he had committed all kinds of crimes in the True Lightning clan. After that, he activated his illusory technique. Countless black tree branches grew out of his body and killed him in the illusory world. After killing this person, Ning Fan checked the memory of the second mid-grade cultivator, because he had also committed heinous crimes against the True Lightning clan, and was killed by Ning Fan. The third person did not bully the True Lightning clan. Ning Fan did not kill him but released him into the illusory world. The fourth person was innocent and was released. The fifth person was guilty and was killed. The sixth person, the seventh person. There were too many cultivators in the entire True Lightning world. There were more than hundreds of millions of them. If Ning Fan were to interrogate them one by one, it would not be enough without spending several million years. What was frightening was that Ning Fan was actually willing to spend several million years to screen each and every one of them to see if they had committed any crimes. Did he have that much time to waste as he pleased? No. Even though the 12 revered lightning beings were restrained by the illusory world and could not move, they still had their eyesight. To their surprise, they realized that no matter how much time passed in the illusory world, the time in the outside world had always stopped at the moment when Ning Fan performed his technique. In other words, no matter how much time Ning Fan wasted in the illusory world, it would not affect the real world. In the blink of an eye, several million years had passed. After Ning Fan had screened all the cultivators in the entire True Lightning world, he killed nearly 30% of them while the rest were acquitted and released. Finally, Ning Fan began to interrogate the 12 revered lightning beings. What infuriated Ning Fan was that each of the 12 revered lightning beings had committed heinous crimes against the True Lightning clan. Moreover, they had been devouring the flesh and blood essence of the members of the True Lightning clan all year round for their cultivation. All of you have been ordered to guard the seal here. Is this how you treat those who are sealed? Ning Fan said coldly. Humph. We don't know why you want to stand up for the True Lightning clan. Maybe you have some ulterior motives towards them, or maybe you really want to save them. However, do you know that after saving the True Lightning clan, their ancestors will turn into ashes and they will no longer be able to serve our Purple Doe immortal domain? After staying in your illusory world for so many years, we can also see that you are actually a Purple Doe immortal cultivator, aren't you? The act of saving the True Lightning Clan will cause our Purple Doe Immortal Cultivator to lose our remaining combat power. It will also cause us to lose our last chance to turn the situation around and, seeing that Ning Fan was about to attack them, the 12 revered lightning beings became rather unyielding. They actually reprimanded Ning Fan instead. Ning Fan did not intend to listen to their rebuttals at all. What infuriated him was that the 12 revered lightning beings in front of him actually knew the truth about the True Lightning Clan being sealed and suppressed. They clearly knew the truth, and that the members of the True Lightning Clan were the hidden heroes of the Purple Doe Immortal Domain. However, the 12 revered lightning beings still dared to bully the True Lightning Clan wantonly. These people were not worthy of being called the Purple Doe Immortal Cultivator. Die. Ning Fan activated his illusory technique. 9 of the 12 revered lightning beings were instantly killed by the Dark Samsara branch, and died in the illusory world. However, 3 of them were strangely reborn after being killed, and escaped from the illusory world through their rebirth. They were revered heavenly lightning, revered earth lightning and revered mysterious lightning, who were the strongest among the 12 revered lightning beings. All of them were at the half-step saint realm. The moment they escaped from Ning Fan's illusory world, the 3 of them ran towards a gigantic lightning tree in the territory of the Feng clan. That was the divine tree of the Feng clan, the heavenly demon lightning tree. A half-step saint is indeed difficult to kill. Ning Fan's consciousness left the illusory world and returned to reality. Looking at the messy situation of the entire True Lightning world, he was quite satisfied with the power of his newly created illusory technique. Illusory technique, immemorial rainy night. A single illusory technique had actually killed 30% of the cultivators in the True Lightning world in an instant. As for the remaining 70%, it was because Ning Fan took the initiative to release it. The power of this illusory technique was quite impressive. From this moment onwards, Ning Fan finally had a powerful offensive illusory technique. Moreover, it was an illusory technique that had a terrifying attack range. Of course, a powerful illusory technique would consume a lot of one's mental strength. Obviously, this technique and the cross-shaped halos were innately incompatible. Both of them also required a lot of mental strength. As expected, the cross-shaped halos were more suitable to be used in conjunction with body techniques and magic techniques. What I'm concerned about is not that the 3 half-step saints were not killed in a single strike, but that tree. What kind of tree is that? Since the 3 revered lightning beings chose this tree to escape to, there must be something special about it. I can't underestimate it. Ning Fan's gaze fell upon the heavenly demon lightning tree in the distance, and his expression turned slightly solemn. To his surprise, when the 3 revered lightning beings reached the base of the heavenly demon lightning tree, the tree seemed to have come to life all of a sudden. A gigantic eye opened on the trunk of the tree. Children, there's no need to panic. With me here in the Feng clan, we certainly won't let this person continue to be arrogant. However, all of you must remember that it won't be easy to let me take action. The heavenly demon lightning tree's demonic chi soared into the sky. Lord Divine Tree, don't worry. As long as Lord Divine Tree kills this person, we will certainly capture another 100,000 members of the True Lightning Clan for you to devour. The 3 revered lightning beings said in a panic. 100,000 is not enough. I want 200,000. The heavenly demon lightning tree said in displeasure. But there aren't many members of the True Lightning Clan left. If we lose another 200,000 in one go. The 3 revered lightning beings looked troubled. Then let them have more children. Do you still need me to intervene in such a trivial matter? In short, I won't interfere with your life or death if we lose 200,000 offerings. The heavenly demon lightning tree became even more dissatisfied. Yes, 200,000 it is. At this moment, the 3 revered lightning beings had no choice but to compromise in order to save their lives. Ning Fan looked at the 3 people and the tree coldly. He watched as they decided the fate of 200,000 members of the True Lightning Clan in the blink of an eye. No wonder the population of the True Lightning Clan that was once prosperous would decline to such an extent. Everyone treated the True Lightning Clan as their food. The entire True Lightning world had become a pigsty and a cow pen to feed these members of the True Lightning Clan. If it wasn't because they wanted to devour the members of the True Lightning Clan in the future, the True Lightning Clan might have already been wiped out by these people. This young man is not simple. Since I've decided to take action, I will go all out and completely release my quasi-saint realm body. The three of you will buy me 20 breaths of time. After 20 breaths of time, I will deal with this young man. The heavenly demon lightning tree said firmly. 20 breaths of time, huh? Yes. The three revered lightning beings wore troubled expressions. They did not have the confidence to stop Ningfan for 20 breaths of time. However, they still gritted their teeth and charged at Ningfan again. If I didn't improve my illusion technique before, I might need to summon some helpers to face the joint attack of 3 half-step saints. Now, however, I don't have to. Ningfan's right eye flashed with devil light. All of a sudden, the shadow of a black tree appeared in his right eye. Illusion technique, immemorial rainy night. With Ningfan's state of mind, the burden of activating the immemorial rainy night illusion technique once was not too great. However, activating it consecutively for the second time within an extremely short period of time was rather taxing. A stream of black blood flowed down from his right eye. It was the proof that Ningfan had overused his illusion technique. At this moment, the 3 unlucky revered lightning beings fell into Ningfan's illusion world for the second time. Their bodies were penetrated by the dark samsara branch, and they were pinned to the ground. Not good. We got hit by this technique again. Revered heavenly lightning's expression turned extremely ugly. Impossible. I've already been hit by this technique once. I've already set up a specific defense against it. Why am I still hit by it? Revered lightning's face turned slightly pale. There's something wrong with this illusion technique. It actually contains the samsara chi of the 3rd step. It's definitely not something that we can resist even if we set up our defenses beforehand. Damn it. I don't have any lightning fruit of rebirth anymore, but my brothers still have a few. Lend me one. Revered mysterious lightning said in fear. I only have one. I can't lend it to you. I only have one as well. No. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Explode. As Ningfan willed it, the bodies of the 3 revered lightning beings who had fallen into the illusion world were constantly multiplied by the dark samsara branch and exploded. With the power of the lightning fruit of rebirth, revered heaven and revered lightning were resurrected once again. As for revered mysterious lightning, he was really killed by Ningfan because he had used up all of his lightning fruits. I've finally killed a half-step saint, huh? When Ningfan killed revered mysterious lightning, he did not summon the ghost flower of the netherworld to produce undying ghost soldiers. He had killed a lot of people in the entire true lightning world. A single illusion technique had killed 30% of the cultivators here and sacrificed tens of millions of them. After killing so many people, he had already fulfilled the requirements to produce undying ghost soldiers. However, Ningfan did not want to waste the sacrificial offerings on revered mysterious lightning. If there are no better choices, he would not mind adding a ghost soldier to his team. Unfortunately, there were better choices in this place which could be used to produce undying ghost soldiers. Ningfan's gaze did not fall on revered heavenly lightning nor revered lightning. His eyes were only looking at the heavenly demon lightning tree. Trash. I've only delayed it for a breath of time, and one of them has already died. The heavenly demon lightning tree, which was unsealing the body of a half-step saint, was enraged when it saw revered mysterious lightning getting killed by Ningfan's illusion technique. Illusion technique, immemorial rainy night. More devil blood flowed out from Ningfan's right eye. He had activated the illusion technique for the 3rd time. This time, Ningfan's illusion technique did not only attack revered heavenly lightning and revered lightning, but also directly attacked the heavenly demon lightning tree. Ah! 2 blood-curdling screams could be heard. Revered heavenly lightning and revered lightning had finally been killed by Ningfan because they had used up all of their rebirth lightning fruits. In the spacious illusory world, only the heavenly demon lightning tree was not killed instantly. However, it was also trapped in Ningfan's illusory world. What level of illusory technique is this? Is it a mid-grade supreme profound illusion technique? No, this young man's illusory technique has actually stepped into the high-grade supreme profound illusion technique. Judging from the degree of compatibility between magic techniques, it is actually an illusory technique that he created himself. The heavenly demon lightning tree was astonished. Even though its body was huge, what was pulled into the illusory world was only an extremely small true spirit. Its true spirit was very small, and it looked like a bonsai. At this moment, it was pierced through by many tiny black branches and nailed to the ground. No wonder even a half-step saint would be instantly killed by this young man's illusory technique. Even a half-step saint would have to retreat in the face of an illusory technique of this level. Even I might not be able to break this young man's illusory technique with my current cultivation base. Sure enough, this is the only way. Bang! For some unknown reason, the true spirit of the heavenly demon lightning tree suddenly withered rapidly and perished in the illusory world. At the next moment, however, its true spirit was reborn in the real world. Surprisingly, it possessed the ability to resurrect after death. This demon tree is indeed not simple. Ning Fan closed his right eye tightly. His devil blood kept flowing out of his body and his consciousness returned to the real world. After using the immemorial rainy night illusory technique 3 times in a row, it was already very difficult for him to use it for the 4th time. Besides, even if he forcefully uses it for the 4th time, according to Ning Fan's estimation, it was still impossible for him to kill the heavenly demon lightning tree. It turned out that the 12 revered lightning beings were not the strongest beings in the true lightning world at all. So this heavenly demon lightning tree is the one. So your name is the heavenly demon lightning tree. Ning Fan covered his right eye and activated his ability to communicate with all living things. He instantly learned the name of the heavenly demon lightning tree. Impossible. You can actually talk to my body directly. The heavenly demon lightning tree was astonished. It did not know anything about the ancient divine spirits, nor did it know how all living beings could communicate with each other. However, it still sensed that at the moment Ning Fan activated some kind of ability, its body had leaked its information to him. What an incredible intelligence ability! If I can eat this kid and seize his abilities. A hint of greed flashed across the celestial demon thunder tree's huge eyes. 17 breaths. In another 17 breaths of time, he would be able to release the shell of his quasi-saint realm lightning tree body. Then he would be able to easily kill Ning Fan and devour him. However, would Ning Fan foolishly wait for the heavenly demon lightning tree to release its body? As a matter of fact, the reason why Ning Fan used his illusion technique to attack the heavenly demon lightning tree just now was to stop it from releasing its body. However, he failed. If Ning Fan was not mistaken, the true power of this heavenly demon lightning tree was comparable to a first-level quasi-saint. However, most of its power had been sealed all year round. It would take a certain period of time to unseal the seal before it could be used. Ning Fan did not plan to give the heavenly demon lightning tree the chance to release all of its power. Although he had created an illusion that was close to a high-grade supreme profundity level, he did not think that this illusion could kill a true demisage. Only by interrupting the heavenly demon lightning tree's release of power would he be able to prevent the tree from unleashing its full power. Only then would he have a chance to kill it. Then he would use this tree to create undying ghostly soldiers. Summon, Ghost Flower of the Netherworld. Dragon King Wansheng appear. Undying Black Qilin appear. Ning Fan then summoned Aphrodite and the Tao Destruction Lightning Nascent Soul. In this way, he was not attacking the heavenly demon lightning tree alone. Instead, he was attacking the heavenly demon lightning tree with the combined strength of the 5 of them. Master, you didn't bring Black Devil along when you fought. Obviously, Black Devil has many ways to deal with this demon tree. Black Devil, who was not summoned by Ning Fan, felt wronged. What bullshit heavenly demon lightning tree? It's obviously the soul-sucking tree of the Dao Hun clan. Even though Ning Fan had no idea how this soul-sucking tree cultivated its ancient demon body, and how it disguised itself as the true spirit of an ancient demon, the smell of the soul-sucking tree could not deceive the 9 Raccoon clan. There is no mistaking that unique stench of urine. The true identity of this tree is definitely a soul-sucking tree. The people of the 9 Raccoon clan love to pee under the soul-sucking tree the most. Humph. Don't feel wronged. If I really need your help, I will naturally send you to fight. Even though the feedback from the myriad creation communication says that this tree is the heavenly demon lightning tree, I can also vaguely sense that there is a trace of Tao Soul Qi inside this tree which is well disguised. The little cat, Black Devil, was one of Ningfan's trump cards. It was a trump card specially used to deal with the Tao Soul clan. Since it was a trump card, of course, it was impossible for him to use it at the very beginning. He had to keep it until the very end just in case. The most important thing now was to interrupt the heavenly demon lightning tree before it releases all of its power. Let's attack together and attack the roots of this tree. Under Ningfan's command, Afro, the Tao Destruction Lightning Infant, Myriad Saint Dragon King, and the Undying Ink Qilin all launched their strongest attacks at the roots of the heavenly demon lightning tree. The heavenly demon lightning tree was dumbfounded. It did not expect that Ningfan would actually summon 4 half-step Saint Realm experts to help him. The joint attack launched by Ningfan and 4 half-step Saint Realm experts was not much weaker than a true half-step Saint Realm expert. As such, the heavenly demon lightning tree only lasted for 5 breaths before its roots were completely destroyed by Ningfan and his group. Its act of releasing its power was forcefully interrupted. Rumble. The heavenly demon lightning tree that had lost its roots suddenly grew arms and legs and turned into a gigantic treant. Its single eye glared at Ningfan furiously. It failed to release its power. Now it could only use 1/5 of its power to deal with Ningfan. All of you deserve to die. Chapter 1173. Half-step Quasi-Sage was only a step away from Quasi-Sage, but that step was like an insurmountable chasm. At this moment, Ningfan had the same feeling when facing the heavenly demon lightning tree. Even though his cultivation base was just at the Immortal King realm, his combat power was definitely enough to overwhelm most of the half-step saints in the Age of Chaos. Even so, Ningfan still felt like he was at a disadvantage when facing the heavenly demon lightning tree. The aura force of the heavenly demon lightning tree swept across the entire true lightning world. Ningfan, who had the secret character Force, was still in a better condition. However, Afro and the others were directly blasted far away by the aura force of the heavenly demon lightning tree. With just 1/5 of its cultivation base, it can actually be so powerful. Is this the power of a quasi-saint? It's indeed not something that I can achieve with my current strength. However, I have 4 great advantages in this battle. It's not like I don't have a chance to truly kill this tree. Ningfan narrowed his eyes. The first advantage was that the heavenly demon lightning tree could only use 1/5 of its cultivation. The second advantage Ningfan had was the number of people on his side. The third advantage was that the heaven demon lightning tree was a tree and cultivated the great Tao of wood. Ningfan's identity as the father god of wood had an absolute restraining effect on the existence of trees. The fourth advantage was naturally the Black Devil as a trump card. With these 4 great advantages, Ningfan was quite confident that he could defeat the heavenly demon lightning tree. However, in the next moment, the heavenly demon lightning tree eliminated one of his advantages. Ancient demon lost art, tree demon doppelganger. As the celestial demon thunder tree used its spell, a demonic light burst out from its body. Amidst the demonic aura, 4 wood puppets appeared. Not only did those clones look the same as the main body, they were also the same size. Even the cultivation aura they exuded was exactly the same. All of them had 1/5 of the cultivation of a quasi-saint. You want to besiege me? Dream on. The main body of the heavenly demon lightning tree sneered. 4 of its clones immediately charged at Afro, and the others while its main body charged at Ningfan. The advantage of numbers no longer existed. Fortunately, Aphrodite and the others were not easy to deal with. Even if each of them were to face one of the tree demons' incarnations alone, they would not be in a disadvantageous position. However, it would be very difficult for them to win the battle. Obviously, they could not free themselves to help Ningfan anymore. A clone-type ancient demon lost art, huh? This is the first time I've seen this art. It is indeed useful. The immemorial true body appeared. Ningfan turned into a giant body made of golden flames, and threw a punch at the heavenly demon lightning tree's main body, the ancient devil mountain breaking strike. Unfortunately, the bark of the heavenly demon lightning tree was the bark of a quasi-saint realm tree. Ning Fan's ancient devil mountain breaking strike that had yet to achieve a combo was just like scratching an itch to the tree. Is this all you've got? Demonic technique, leaf dance technique. The main body of the celestial demon thunder tree snorted in disdain. He did not know that the ancient demon mountain breaking strike that he looked down on was actually an extremely terrifying ancient demon body technique. Unfortunately, as Ning Fan had used illusion techniques many times, he had consumed too much of his spirit power. Hence, it was not suitable for him to use the cross-shaped halos at the moment. If he does not activate the cross-shaped halos, he would not be able to have unlimited magic power. It was also not suitable for him to use the ancient devil mountain breaking strike to form a series of attacks. Thus, he had to find another method to deal with the heavenly demon lightning tree. The heavenly demon lightning tree shook its crown and millions of heavenly demon leaves that were as sharp as flying swords flew towards Ning Fan. The sky was filled with dancing leaves. Leaf dance art was a very common little Yao art among the Yao. Its status was about the same as the basic flying sword arts of Sword Xiao. The grade of this technique was obviously very low. However, when it is used by the heavenly demon lightning tree, its destructive power was enough to instantly kill some weaker immortal emperors. It was really unimaginable. Unfortunately, this technique was obviously not suitable to be used against Ning Fan. Wood Palm Domain, open. As Ning Fan activated his domain, all the wood chi in the entire heaven and earth seemed to be under his control. The millions of leaves that were attacking Ning Fan could not even touch his body at all. There was an invisible power of the divine lattice that prevented them from doing so. It's actually the wood palm realm. This is going to be troublesome. The main body of the heavenly demon lightning tree was shocked. If Ning Fan really possessed the power of the wood palm realm, all of its wood element abilities would basically be crippled. It would not be able to use them to attack Ning Fan. The wood palm realm was just that unsolvable and unreasonable. Since my abilities can't work, I'll use my magic treasures to determine the winner. Farmer God Cauldron appear. All of a sudden, a ray of green light shot out from the main body of the heavenly demon lightning tree. It turned into an ancient cauldron that was covered in green copper and pressed down on Ning Fan's head. This cauldron was actually a Xiantian middle-grade magical treasure. When used by the heavenly demon thunder tree in the quasi-sage realm, the might of the cauldron could overturn the heavens and earth and shake the world. You want to compete with magic treasures? Ning Fan summoned the ocean-defying sword. The giant body of golden flames wielded the sword and slashed at the cauldron, sending it flying away. However, Ning Fan was not in a good condition either. He was forcefully smashed 100 zhong deep into the ground by the suppressive force of the giant cauldron. More than half of his body was smashed into the ground. Disadvantaged. Ning Fan was at a disadvantage in this clash of magic treasures and Dao soldiers. It was not because the ocean-defying sword was weaker than the farmer god cauldron, but because Ning Fan's strength was far weaker than the heavenly demon lightning tree. This is the sword of a disciple of the chaotic Kuan sacred sect. The heavenly demon thunder tree seemed to be very experienced. He was shocked when he saw the sea-defying sword. But in the next moment, his surprise turned into anger. So what if he was a disciple of the Han Kuan sect? He had killed the disciples of the Han Kuan sect. Those damned Han Kuan disciples should all be killed. Shinong 100 Grass Flame. Of course, the Shinong cauldron was not as simple as smashing people. It was a medicinal cauldron used for pill refinement. The cauldron contained innate flames which made it extremely powerful. As the heavenly demon lightning tree activated his ability, the grass-green Shinong 100 Grass Flame poured out from the Shinong cauldron. It fell from the sky like the divine flames of the 9 heavens, and attacked Ning Fan. Innate mid-grade flame, huh? Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He opened his mouth and breathed out rolling thunder flames which burned towards the Shinong 100 Grass Flame. The Shinong 100 Grass Flame was a flame that was specially used for pill refinement. Its fire attribute was ancient and gentle. Ning Fan's flame lightning flame, on the other hand, was different. It was born to attack and kill people. Its destructive power was even more domineering. The battle of fire lasted for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. In the end, the Shinong 100 Grass Flame was defeated. It fled all the way back to the Shenong cauldron. It was frightened by Ningfan's flame lightning flame. Trash. Trash. The dignified Shenong 100 grass flame was actually frightened to the point of fleeing. The heavenly demon lightning tree was so angry that he cursed loudly. Seeing that the Shenong cauldron could not do anything to Ningfan, he no longer had any hope of killing Ningfan. The Shenong cauldron was the only innate mid-grade magic treasure that he had. It was also the only powerful attacking method that he could use after many of his wood element abilities were suppressed by Ningfan's godhead. He could not use the Shenong cauldron nor his abilities. Could it be that he, a dignified quasi-saint realm being, had to fight Ningfan in a melee battle? Even though the defensive power of his quasi-saint realm tree bark was not bad, its offensive power was not impressive. As for Ningfan's eternal true body, its defensive power was also not low. Even if he fights Ningfan in a melee battle, he would not be able to kill him. What was more troublesome was that as soon as Ningfan activated his sovereign domain, the heavenly demon lightning tree realized that he could no longer absorb the wood power of heaven and earth. In other words, he could not recover his demon spiritual power after it is depleted. He would not be able to see the problem within a short period of time. However, if he fights Ningfan in a prolonged battle of attrition, his demon spiritual power would certainly be depleted in the end. The more he thought about it, the more afraid he became. He no longer wanted to fight Ningfan, nor did he want to become enemies with Ningfan. He wanted to make peace with Ningfan. However, Ningfan did not care about his words at all. I can't be wrong. Ningfan sensed countless karma from this heavenly demon lightning tree. All of them were the karma of the true lightning clan. In the past countless years, this tree had eaten billions of members of the true lightning clan. This tree deserved to be killed. Junior, do you really have to force me like this? If you push me too far, I will just perish together with you. The heavenly demon lightning tree threatened. Then you can perish together with me. Ningfan had already made up his mind to kill. Even though he did not activate the cross-shaped halo, he had plenty of powerful methods to deal with the heavenly demon lightning tree. Gungwu's treasure, Vajra armor-breaking pearl. Appear. On the day he defeated blood god Gungwu, Ningfan had obtained a large amount of treasures from his body. Among them, the one that he valued the most was the mid-grade innate rank Vajra armor-breaking pearl. It was a magic treasure. Its destructive power was not strong, but it had the heaven-defying effect of breaking armor. Ningfan channeled a large amount of magic power into the Vajra armor-breaking pearl. Immediately, hundreds and thousands of ancient Buddhist characters appeared on the surface of the pearl. Each of those characters was only the size of an ant. They seemed to be some kind of high-level characters of the Buddhist sect, which Ningfan did not recognize. The more magic power Ningfan channeled into the pearl, the stronger the golden light it gave off. When the golden light grew to a certain extent, Ningfan suddenly raised his hand and took out the Vajra armor-breaking pearl, hitting it on the trunk of the heavenly demon lightning tree. Bang! The Vajra armor-breaking pearl did not have much offensive power. Of course, it could not penetrate the quasi-saint realm bark of the heavenly demon lightning tree. Upon seeing that, the heavenly demon lightning tree felt disdainful. It did not notice that the defensive power of its bark had been weakened by 90% the moment it came into contact with the Vajra armor-breaking pearl. Very few people would be able to notice the defensive power of the Vajra armor-breaking pearl, unless it was a first-level quasi-saint who specialized in sensing. Otherwise, the Vajra armor-breaking pearl would not be able to show its true power. It doesn't even know that its armor has been broken. How sad. This tree no longer has the defense of a quasi-saint realm bark. I can kill it with a single strike. Ningfan's eyes turned sharp. At this moment, he transmitted his voice to Afro and the others. Close your eyes. Withdraw your spirit sense. Afro and the others obediently closed their eyes, shielding their vision and senses and withdrawing their spirit sense. At this moment, Ningfan summoned the immemorial lightning cauldron. The dazzling lightning covered all the colors in the world in an instant. Ah! The heavenly demon lightning tree was completely defenseless. Its giant eyes were blinded by the lightning from the immemorial lightning cauldron, burning its spirit sense. It lost its ability to sense the outside world. It fell into a state of extreme panic. Then it felt a sharp pain coming from the trunk of the gigantic tree. The trunk of the heavenly demon lightning tree was too huge. Even if Ningfan closed his eyes, he could still roughly determine the direction. Then he pierced through the body of the heavenly demon lightning tree with his sword. At this moment, the ocean-defying sword easily pierced through the weakened bark of the heavenly demon lightning tree and pierced its vital point. At this moment, all the heavenly magatama jades in the ocean-defying sword exploded inside the body of the heavenly demon lightning tree. Boom! A loud explosion resounded. The main body of the heavenly demon lightning tree was directly destroyed by Ningfan's sword. At the moment when the blinding lightning dispersed, Ningfan caught the true spirit of the heavenly demon lightning tree from within its trunk. Then he pierced it with his sword again. Bang bang bang! When the true spirit of the heavenly demon lightning tree was attacked, the 4 tree demon clones that it summoned could no longer be maintained. One by one, they turned into demonic mist and dissipated. Aphrodite's beautiful eyes sparkled. She did not expect that the battle between quasi-saints would come to an end so soon after it started. Ningfan seems to have become stronger again. The true spirit of the heavenly demon lightning tree was coughing violently in Ningfan's hand. Even though its true spirit was captured and attacked by Ningfan, was a true spirit something that could be destroyed so easily? Especially since it was the true spirit of a quasi-saint realm demon cultivator. It was even harder to destroy. Cough cough. I didn't expect that I would be defeated by you in the end. Tell me, what do you want in order for you to let me go? Let you go? Why should I? Ningfan sneered. It was not easy for him to capture the true spirit of the heavenly demon lightning tree. How was it possible for him to let it go? If I let the heavenly demon lightning tree go, how could the souls of so many members of the true lightning clan who had been eaten by this tree be able to rest in peace? Humph! Since you don't want to let me go, I will leave by myself. The true spirit of the lightning tree let out a strange laugh. Then his entire true spirit began to wither rapidly. This scene was exactly the same as when he fell into Ningfan's illusion technique. Previously, he destroyed his true spirit in the same way and allowed it to be reborn to avoid Ningfan's illusion technique. At this moment, the true spirit of the lightning tree wanted to use the same trick again to escape from Ningfan's grasp. Unfortunately, his true spirit could no longer wither after it had withered to a certain extent. Instead, it consumed a large amount of life force for no reason, and became even weaker. Impossible. My rebirth ability has been sealed. The true spirit of the lightning tree was astonished. Cold sweat broke out all over his body. Then he thought of something and roared angrily. No wonder you wanted to stab me with your sword after capturing my true spirit. It turns out that you took the opportunity to channel your Wood sovereign realm power into my true spirit and formed a seal. That's right. You no longer have the chance to be reborn. Don't even think about escaping from my hands. Ningfan sneered. However, he certainly would not explain to the true spirit that he did not possess the Wood sovereign realm, but the Wood sovereign realm, which was a higher level. Humph. This old man admits defeat. However, if you think that you can easily kill me just because you captured my true spirit, then you are gravely mistaken. Do you think that I am just a simple heavenly demon lightning tree? I have already said that I will perish together with you today. Soul-sucking technique, activate. Ningfan's expression changed. He had clearly sealed the rebirth ability of the lightning tree's true spirit. However, the true spirit of the lightning tree still gradually faded away from his hand for some unknown reason. Did this demon escape? No, it didn't. The tree did not run away. It actually had the audacity to invade Ningfan's sea of consciousness. At this moment, the true spirit of the lightning tree suddenly emerged in Ningfan's divine spirit sea of consciousness. It took root in his sea of consciousness and stayed there. Among the myriad of Daohun clan, there was a clan called the Soul-Sucking Tree Clan. All members of this clan were tree cultivators. They were born with an innate ability to perish together with their enemies. It was called the Soul-Sucking Tree. They could sacrifice their body and cultivation base to occupy the enemy's sea of consciousness. Then they would devour the enemy's soul step by step and turn it into their own. At this moment, the heavenly demon lightning tree in front of him used the soul-sucking technique on Ning Fan. His true form was not a heavenly demon lightning tree at all, but a soul-sucking tree. Many years ago, the soul-sucking tree was not in the form of the heavenly demon lightning tree. At that time his cultivation base was still weak. At that time, he encountered a heavenly demon lightning tree that was slightly stronger than him. Of course, this soul-sucking tree could not defeat that heavenly demon lightning tree. In desperation, he detonated his soul-sucking tree body and used the soul-sucking technique to occupy the enemy's sea of consciousness. Then he devoured the enemy's soul step by step and obtained the enemy's body, soul and shell. From that day onwards, he was no longer a soul-sucking tree, but a heavenly demon lightning tree. This time, this soul-sucking tree was unlucky enough to run into Ning Fan's hands again. This time, he planned to use the same trick again. He abandoned everything he had when he was a heavenly demon lightning tree, and occupied Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. Then he would devour Ning Fan's soul step by step. As long as he succeeds, Ning Fan would no longer exist in this world. In the future he would be the new Ning Fan. Ah, I have already taken root in your sea of consciousness. Now, I will occupy your consciousness. What's going on? The soul-sucking tree was astonished. The sea of consciousness was the weakest part of a cultivator. Initially, he thought that it would be very easy to occupy Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. However, he was wrong. He was extremely wrong. Ning Fan's sea of consciousness was too strong. It was too monstrous. Even though he had taken root in Ning Fan's sea of consciousness, his root was very shallow. It could not reach the deepest part of Ning Fan's sea of consciousness at all. Moreover, the reason why he could take root in Ning Fan's sea of consciousness was because Ning Fan's sea of consciousness was currently injured. When he collided with immortal sovereign Zidozwil just now, there were 7 cracks on his sea of consciousness. Damn it! This is basically a sea of consciousness that I can't occupy at all, alright. I can't devour Ning Fan's soul at all. How can there be such a monstrous sea of consciousness in this world? It's simply the natural nemesis of the soul-sucking technique. Is this the technique you used when you were a member of the Dao Hun clan? It's a very powerful technique. It's very similar to the body-seizing technique, but it's on a completely different level. Unlike the body-seizing technique, it doesn't have any side effects. If it wasn't because my sea of consciousness is different from ordinary people, I might have really been devoured by you, taken over by you and replaced by you. Unfortunately, there are no ifs in this world. Ning Fan gave it a try. If he wants to, he could easily pull out the soul-sucking tree from his sea of consciousness. However, if he does so, it would worsen the injuries of his sea of consciousness, which was already injured. After all, the roots of the soul-sucking tree had already penetrated into his sea of consciousness. Even if the roots were very shallow, it would still be harmful. If Black Devil wasn't around, Ning Fan would probably forcefully pull the soul-sucking tree out of his sea of consciousness at the risk of getting injured. However, since Black Devil was around, why not ask him for some tricks? Humph. Master finally remembered to look for Black Devil. Huh? Little Mao. Or was full of resentment. She was still feeling wronged because Ning Fan did not send her to participate in the battle. Alright. Don't be willful anymore. Be good. Tell me how to pull this tree out without getting injured. Ning Fan said helplessly. Unless Master brings me along when you fight in the future, Black Devil won't say anything. Ning Fan could not help but laugh. Was this little Mao, or no longer as obedient as when he first met her? She actually knew how to bargain with him. This was a good thing. It meant that little Mao, or had become closer to him, didn't it? Compared to the little Mao, or who always obeyed his orders, Ning Fan felt that the mischievous little Mao, or was much more adorable. Master, are you angry? Black Devil is wrong. Black Devil shouldn't bargain with Master. Little Mao, or only knew that Ning Fan was angry. She was so anxious that she almost cried. She quickly told Ning Fan the method to deal with the soul-sucking tree. Of course, Ning Fan was not angry. He comforted little Mao, and began to use the method that Black Devil gave him to deal with the soul-sucking tree. There was a secret technique in the cultivation world that allowed the user to possess the enemy's body. However, there was a risk in doing so. If the technique fails, the the user's consciousness might be devoured by the enemy instead. It was the same for the soul-sucking technique. The method that Little Mao gave him was a method that specialized in dealing with the soul-sucking technique. It could devour the soul-sucking tree that had invaded his sea of consciousness. According to Black Devil, if I devour the soul-sucking tree in my sea of consciousness, the power of my mind will increase tremendously. This is a good thing. Whether it's casting a powerful illusion technique or using the cross-shaped halo, the mind is indispensable. If that's the case, I'll devour this tree. Hence, the soul-sucking tree that had taken root in Ning Fan's sea of consciousness was terrified to find that its consciousness was becoming blurred and was being devoured by Ning Fan bit by bit. It wanted to resist, but it was to no avail. The method that Little Mao gave him completely nullified his soul-sucking technique. He could not resist at all. He could not understand why Ning Fan understood his soul-sucking technique so well. He could actually nullify it so perfectly and even use it to devour it. Who exactly are you? Why do you know the weakness of my soul-sucking tree clan so well? The soul-sucking tree asked in dissatisfaction before it died. It's not that I know your soul-sucking tree clan very well. It's just that my Little Mao knows all of you very well. Little Mao? What Little Mao? The soul-sucking tree's consciousness became even more blurred. It's me, Little Mao. Er's voice entered the world of Ning Fan's sea of consciousness at the right time. What? The Royal Nine Raccoon? Impossible. This is impossible. He actually raised the Royal Nine Raccoon as his house cat. This is impossible. With endless shock, a quasi-Saint Realm expert had fallen just like that. If it wasn't for the soul-sucking tree abandoning all of its cultivation base as a heavenly demon lightning tree, and using the soul-sucking technique, it wouldn't have been so easy for Ning Fan to kill the soul-sucking tree. He would have to go through a lot of trouble. But now, he had saved himself some trouble. Moreover, he had also obtained quite a lot of benefits from it. He had devoured all of the soul-sucking tree's spirit power. That was all the spirit power of a quasi-Saint Realm expert. It directly increased the power of Ning Fan's spirit power by more than 2 times compared to his original strength. It could be said that the current power of his spirit power was even stronger than many first-level quasi-saints. In the future, it would be much easier for him to use the immemorial Rainy Night illusion technique, or the cross-shaped halos. There was also another benefit. All of the soul-sucking tree's knowledge and abilities of the wood element were transmitted into Ning Fan's sea of consciousness, along with his spirit power. He still needed a lot of time to absorb and comprehend the contents of the knowledge. Once he completely absorbs all of the soul-sucking tree's knowledge and abilities of the wood element, his combat power would certainly improve tremendously. This is my first time killing a quasi-Saint Realm expert. His cultivation base wasn't at its peak. He only had 1/5 of his power. His wood element abilities were completely restrained by me. My Vajra armor breaking bead managed to break through his defense. His soul-sucking technique just happens to be useless against my sea of consciousness. Even though I had the absolute advantage, I still spent a lot of effort to eliminate this demon. If it's any other quasi-Saint Realm expert, it would be very difficult for me to gain the upper hand. Killing this demon isn't the end. Next, there's still one more thing I need to do. Ning Fan began to borrow the power of the Netherworld Ghost Flower to create the soul-sucking tree's undying ghost soldiers. This was his first time using a quasi-Saint Realm expert as a material to create the undying ghost soldiers. The success rate was pitifully low. It was only 5%. Fortunately, he had used a lot of sacrificial offerings. 30% of the cultivators of the true lightning world who had a blood debt with him had become his sacrificial offerings. Moreover, in order to ensure the number of sacrificial offerings, he did not even create the half-Saint Realm undying ghost soldiers. The number of sacrificial offerings had reached 80 million people. As such, the success rate of creating the undying ghost soldiers had also increased from the initial 5% to nearly 10%. With such a low success rate, it's impossible for me to succeed at all. Even though Ning Fan was also looking forward to having an undying ghost soldier with the cultivation base of a quasi-Saint Realm expert, he had experienced failure before. Thus his mentality was very positive. If I succeed, I'll be very happy. If I fail, I'll accept it. In short, I'll just try my best not to make any mistakes in my techniques and reduce the number of human errors. Ningfan did not expect a miracle. However, life was always like this. The more you pursue something, the harder it would be to get it. On the contrary, if you do it unintentionally, miracles would usually happen. When the undying soul-sucking tree with the cultivation base of a quasi-saint realm undying soul-sucking tree officially joined Ningfan's ghost soldiers, Ningfan was so surprised that he could not close his mouth. In the past, there was a 70 to 80% chance of failure. Now the success rate was only 10%. I'm really too lucky. With the addition of a quasi-saint realm ghost soldier, I'll be able to put up a good fight even if I have to face a quasi-saint realm expert of a higher level in the future. Moreover, my chances of winning are very high. The only unfortunate thing is that the soul-sucking tree is good at staying alive and regenerating. Even though its offensive power isn't weak, it's not its forte. This is somewhat inconsistent with the method of choosing ghost soldiers that I've decided on previously. Forget it. It's rare to have a quasi-saint realm ghost soldier. It's not good to have too many requirements. I've already taught the people of the Feng clan a lesson. The debt of blood that should be paid has also been paid for the True Lightning clan. Now there's only one thing left to do. Break the seal of the True Lightning world and release the True Lightning clan to the outside world. Without immortal sovereign Zido's will, the seal of this world could no longer be maintained. Thus, it could be broken with a single strike. Finally, I'm going to fulfill all the promises I made in the past. Senior Taisu, your soul in heaven can rest in peace. From today onwards, the True Lightning clan will no longer be anyone's slave. Undying soul-sucking tree, from today onwards, you're my slave. The first mission I'm giving you is to help me break the seal of this world. Understood. The undying soul-sucking tree lowered its wooden head respectfully, and said with a blank look in its eyes. He actually took a quasi-saint realm expert as his slave. Afro felt that the impact that Ningfan brought to her today was a little too great. Chapter 1174. On this day, the True Thunder world, which had been peaceful for a billion years, finally welcomed a drastic change. In the snowy plains of the True Thunder clan, countless members of the True Thunder clan raised their heads in fear. Looking at the collapsing sky, they could not help but tremble. The sky was actually shattering. The lightning that filled the sky was being dispersed by someone using a great divine ability. Torrential rain and dark night filled the entire True Thunder world. The world was shaking and the earth was trembling. What's going on? The True Thunder realm is actually going to collapse. Is the end of the world coming? The people of the True Thunder tribe, who had been enslaved for a billion years, had never seen such a doomsday scene. Even the two great immortal kings of the True Lightning tribe, Metal Lightning and Wood Lightning, were frightened by the impending doomsday. Only Fei Feng knew what the scene before her meant. Turbid tears flowed from her eyes. Taisu, do you see this? Our True Thunder clan can finally escape from this world. The little friend you found is the great benefactor of our entire clan. How I wish that you would be able to see this scene as well. It has been a billion years. Our True Thunder clan has been waiting for this day of freedom for a billion years. I'm so tired, so tired. In order to protect your beloved clansmen, I've held on for so long. Now I can finally unload my burden. I don't have to endure any more pain and suppress my immortal lifespan. I can come and find you. Fei Feng's vision began to drift away. In the wind and snow, she seemed to have returned to her youth. She seemed to have seen a young man named Taisu, carrying her on his back and protecting her injured leg, walking with difficulty in the snow. Silly Feng. Or how many times do I have to tell you to understand? You're a girl, and it's very dangerous for you to go into the snow valley alone to collect herbs. If I hadn't arrived in time, you would have been eaten by that snow bear. Humph. Who asked Brother Taisu to break his promise? He clearly promised to accompany Feng, to the snow valley, but he stood her up. Brother Taisu is always lying. I really have something to do this time. Next time I will definitely accompany you. Time passed quietly. A month later, a new power suddenly joined the Eastern Heavens Slaughter Temple. It was the True Thunder sect, led by the two great immortal kings, Metal Thunder and Wood Thunder. No one knew that the true Thunder race, which had been sealed for many years, had finally been released. No one knew that on the day the true Thunder tribe regained their freedom, an old woman scattered all of her cultivation and returned to the dust. The true Thunder tribe was saved, but the flying phoenix immortal monarch killed himself. No, it wasn't appropriate to describe it as self-destruction. Actually, the soaring phoenix immortal king's lifespan had been exhausted a long time ago, and his body was practically on the verge of exhaustion. He was merely relying on some sort of secret technique that paid an extremely great price to forcefully continue living in this world. The Thunder Clan had finally been rescued. When she knew that Tai Su would never return, she no longer had any reason to continue holding on. She also no longer had any reason to continue waiting. She could finally put down all her burdens and accept her destiny. I didn't think that this would be the result. I had fulfilled my promise and saved the true Thunder race, but I can't feel happy at all. Senior Fei Feng didn't even get to see Senior Tai Su before she died. There's nothing more regretful than this in this world. He brought the members of the True Lightning clan out of the collapsed True Lightning world and brought them back to the Slaughter Palace. Then he left again. He needed to find a place to carefully digest the mysteries of the heaven-defying lightning technique and integrate it into his pseudo-devil cavity. Fei Feng's death made Ning Fan feel a sense of loss, but this was also the helplessness of the path of cultivation. What reason did he have to stop Fei Feng from searching for Tai Su in the other world? It was a kind of sacrifice. It was almost stupid and almost obsessed. However, it still moved people Ning Fan's side. He searched the vast starry sky of the eastern heaven. After a long time, he finally found an extremely remote, abandoned star which was suitable for him to study his new technique. After the Heavenly Writings teleportation technique, the Boundless Thousand Rainbow, the Void Divine Tree and Old Immortal Nan Hua's incomplete Void Refinement Art, Ning Fan obtained the fifth item, the Heaven-Defying Lightning Technique. He had already reached the 21st layer of the Heaven-Defying Lightning Technique. However, if he wants to gain a deeper understanding of its mysteries, just reaching the 21st layer was obviously not enough. 20 years passed in the blink of an eye. Ning Fan used 20 years to further cultivate the Heaven-Defying Lightning Technique to the 33rd layer. Finally, he extracted the profound meaning of this technique and integrated it into his pseudo-devil cavity. As for the curse that he cast in the True Lightning world, it was also undone during these 20 years. Eventually, the completion rate of the pseudo-devil cavity reached 95%. Just a little bit more and I will be able to develop the pseudo-devil cavity. Ning Fan took out the treasure-searching compass and set the direction. Then, he dashed towards the sixth item that he was looking for. A few days later, his figure appeared on a cultivation planet called the Black Market Star. As the name suggested, the Black Market Star was the black market of the Eastern Heaven cultivation world. Rumor has it that the owner behind the Black Market Star was an 8th Tribulation Great Emperor, who had been living in seclusion. It was because of this 8th Tribulation Great Emperor that the Black Market Star was able to stand strong and become the best place for devil cultivators to dispose of their stolen goods. Eastern Heaven was filled with wars and chaos. It was common for people to kill others for their treasures and annihilate clans. Since there was plunder, there was a need to dispose of the stolen goods. Many devil lords loved to visit the Black Market Star and sell some of their shameful things here. Ning Fan did not expect that the last item he was looking for would be in the Black Market Star. With his senses, he could easily sense the presence of an extremely obscure immortal emperor's chi on this Black Market Star. It must be the owner behind the Black Market Star. The chi of this immortal emperor was a little unfamiliar. Clearly, he was not someone Ning Fan knew and he had never participated in the Great Battle of the Border River. Most of the cultivators in the Eastern Heaven inherited the bloodline of their ancestors. However, there were also exceptions. The owner behind the Black Market Star was obviously one of them. This emperor could even be indifferent to the survival of the Eastern Heaven. He just sat there and did nothing while wholeheartedly managing his own black market business. Everyone has their own way of living. How this emperor is like has nothing to do with me. As long as he doesn't interfere with my business, I also don't want to cause any trouble. Ning Fan casually used a minor illusion technique to change his appearance and chi. Then, he descended towards the largest market of the black market star. The reason why he changed his appearance was naturally because he did not want to attract too much attention. With his current reputation and status in the Eastern Heaven, if he does not disguise himself and hastily descends on the black market star, it would certainly cause a commotion and make people feel helpless. Because Ning Fan just used a minor illusion technique casually and did not plan to deceive the owner of the black market star. The owner of the black market star sensed his arrival at the first moment. Humph! The dignified master of the slaughter palace actually came to my black market star. Could it be that you are also here for that item? In a hidden cave residence somewhere on the black market star, a green-faced and fanged-out child stopped meditating and opened his eyes coldly. He was the owner behind the black market star, the child Black Wind. His cultivation base was at the 8 Tribulations realm. In terms of cultivation base, he did not seem to be able to be rude to Ning Fan. However, in reality, he also had an extremely extraordinary identity, which made the entire Eastern Heavens cultivation world fear him. He had served the previous ancestral emperor of the Eastern Heaven, and was once his personal servant. He had also followed the ancestral emperor to conquer the world together with him, and commanded the entire Eastern Heaven. There was also a rumor that after the ancestral emperor of the Eastern Heaven passed away, he had left a certain treasure that he used when he was still alive to this person. No one knew what exactly that treasure was. In the long history of the Eastern Heaven, there were a few immortal emperors who coveted this person's treasure. However, none of them succeeded. What was even stranger was that all of those immortal emperors disappeared mysteriously. No one knew where they went. Some people suspected that the child Black Wind had killed those immortal emperors who coveted his treasure. However, what was even stranger was that the life plates of those immortal emperors who had gone missing were still intact. Obviously, they were still in this world. This speculation was self-defeating. However, if they were still in this world, why would dignified immortal emperors go missing for no reason? Could it be that they were suppressed by the child Black Wind using his great abilities? Is the child Black Wind actually so powerful? As a result, there were more and more rumors about the child Black Wind. As time passed, no one dared to covet his treasure anymore. Due to the child Black Wind's ferocious reputation, no immortal emperors of the same level as him had ever come to the black market star that he ran to cause trouble. When he saw Ning Fan suddenly descend on the black market star, the child Black Wind subconsciously thought that Ning Fan wanted to covet his treasure. However, he soon realized that he had thought too much. It seemed like Ning Fan just wanted to stroll around his black market casually. He was not here to cause trouble. Humph! If this person is really here to buy some ordinary items, I won't be bothered to become enemies with him. However, if he covets my Black Wind gourd, I don't care if he is the Yama of the Eastern Heaven or not. I will certainly use the Black Wind gourd to turn him into the gourd's blood spirit. Of course, Ning Fan did not come for the Black Wind gourd. He also did not know about the various rumors about the child Black Wind. Following the direction of the treasure-searching compass, Ning Fan shuttled through the streets of the black market. Finally, he stopped in front of a shop that emitted a gloomy aura. Emo Wen Xian. This was the name of the shop. The two words Emo Wen carried a deep meaning. This shop was a place to sell and buy stolen goods. Anyone who came here to buy something was not allowed to ask about the origin of the item. Halt! Just as Ning Fan stepped on the stairs of the shop, two figures suddenly appeared out of nowhere and blocked his way. The ones who blocked Ning Fan were two old monsters with strong qi. They were the guards of Emo Wen Xian. Their entire bodies were wrapped in black cloaks and their faces could not be seen clearly. At this moment, Ning Fan had used an illusion technique to conceal his cultivation base. The cultivation base that he revealed was only around the void fragmentation realm. The two guards could not see through Ning Fan's real cultivation base. Thus, they did not intend to let Ning Fan enter the shop. According to the rules of this shop, first-step cultivators are not allowed to take half a step into this shop. The two guards said coldly, "Oh, is that so?" Ning Fan did not care about the two guards' impoliteness. He slightly raised his chi to the peak of Duzhen and said, "Now is your cultivation base enough?" Peak of Duzhen. Chi is a little unfamiliar. Since when did Eastern Heaven have such an old monster Duzhen? The two guards' expressions changed slightly, but they did not ask anything. After pondering for a while, they finally let Ning Fan in. The interior of the shop had its own space. There were tens of thousands of rows of shelves. Every shelf was protected by a formation. Through the formation, one could see all kinds of illegal goods on the shelves. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the shelves in front of him, and realized that the price of the illegal goods here was obviously lower than the normal price. It was almost half of the normal price. Most of the illegal goods had questionable origins, so it was natural for them to be cheap. Ning Fan was not the only cultivator who came here to buy the illegal goods. There were many other cultivators who came here to sell their goods. Most of them hid their heads and showed their tails, not wanting others to know their true identity. They did not talk to each other at all. Most of the goods that were placed at the outermost area were cheap goods. They were also using the lowest grade silver shelves. Further inside were the gold shelves. Most of the high-grade goods were placed there. Of course, it did not mean that all the goods placed on the silver shelves were trash. Could it be that the owner of this shop could not make a mistake at times? There would always be some treasures that would be covered in dust and their value would be misjudged by others. After years of cultivation, Ning Fan had become quite proficient in his ability to communicate with all living things. He could control it at will, and only listen to the voices of all living things within a certain range. Today, Ning Fan almost always maintained a trace of his ability to communicate with all living things. Because of that, when he passed by the shelves, he could hear the voices of many illegal goods. I'm not a profound crystal-associated Oregon. I'm a true profound ore. On one of the silver shelves, a piece of ore was complaining. Unfortunately, other than Ning Fan, no one could hear its complaint. The label of this ore was marked with the name of the profound crystal-associated ore and the price of 12 million Tao crystals. However, it was actually not a profound crystal-associated Oregon. Instead, it was a true profound ore that was worth more than 60 million Tao crystals. I'm not an ordinary magic treasure. I'm a sacrificial artifact of the Spirit Sea clan. Another half-damaged First Nirvana Immortal Sword that had been marked with the wrong price complained. A half-damaged First Nirvana Immortal Sword was not worth much. It was close to being a piece of trash. However, if this sword had other profound meanings, it certainly could not be sold at the price of a piece of trash. The owner of the shop had set the wrong price. One had to admit that Ning Fan's all living things communication was extremely useful. It was simply a divine technique that he could use to pick up scraps in the black market. Unfortunately, Ning Fan did not really buy those illegal goods that had been undervalued. It was because those items were useless to him. With his current status, there was no need for him to earn money by reselling illegal goods. Moreover, he was too lazy to get involved with the karma behind these illegal goods. The item that the treasure-searching compass was pointing at was on one of the gold shelves in the deepest part of the shop. Ning Fan just wanted to buy that item secretly and leave. He wanted to keep a low profile. Unexpectedly, when Ning Fan passed by one of the silver shelves, his heart skipped a beat. He heard a different voice from that shelf. "Little butterfly, don't die. Don't leave me. I want you to accompany me to watch the morning moon in the ancient desolate mountain. I want to save you. I must save you. Even if I have to betray the ancient desolate immortal domain and join the purple doe immortal domain, I will still save you. No one can stop me." There was a voice of a woman that was as stubborn as a devil. It carried sorrow and determination and directly entered the depths of Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. That was the voice of the sword ancestor. Ning Fan's expression changed and he stopped walking. He did not expect to encounter such a situation at this time and place. The moment he turned his head, he saw an ancient fossil on the silver shelf. This fossil looked like amber, but it was not. Inside the transparent fossil, there was a butterfly wing sealed inside. It was the butterfly's left wing. It seemed to have been directly cut off by a sharp blade. The incision was very smooth. There seemed to be some kind of sword intent at the incision. However, it had already dissipated at this moment. What was even stranger was that The moment Ning Fan saw this butterfly fossil, the butterfly's left wing that was sealed inside the fossil had triggered the law of samsara and disappeared. This kind of disappearance was not unfamiliar to Ning Fan. In the past, he had seen this kind of disappearance in the space-penetrating stone in the wild ancient region. That kind of feeling was like the past and the future meeting, and one of them would disappear. At this moment, it seemed to be the same situation. I see. Unexpectedly, at an unintentional time, in an unintentional place, he saw his own wings. What happened? All the guards of Mo Wenxian were shocked by the sudden change that happened here. The shelves of Mo Wenxian had a sensory restriction. Once something happens to the goods, the guards of the store would immediately notice it. Each of the guards of the store with strong qi flashed to the scene. When they saw the strange scene on the silver shelf, all of them were enraged. The butterfly fossil that was supposed to be sold was actually damaged. The butterfly's left wing had disappeared into thin air. At this moment, Ning Fan was the only one around the shelf. All the guards were certain that Ning Fan had violated the rules of the black market by stealing the butterfly's left wing from the fossil. Even though the value of this fossil was very low in the eyes of the guards, rules were rules. The rules of the black market star were not to be challenged by anyone. Who are you? Why are you causing trouble in my black market star? Do you know who the owner of Mo Wenxian is? He is the owner of the black market star. If you are sensible, hand over the butterfly's left wing that you stole. Otherwise, don't blame us for acting according to the rules and killing you. The guards shouted angrily. As soon as the customers saw that something had happened, they immediately gathered around to watch the show with different expressions. This is a misunderstanding. I didn't steal the butterfly's wings from this fossil. It disappeared on its own. Ning Fan casually explained. Actually, he was too lazy to explain to these people. It was because at this moment, his heart had been completely filled with shock and awe because of the fossil. He was shocked by the fact that he had met himself in another way. He was even more shocked by the words of the woman who would not regret even if she died 100 times. Little butterfly, don't die. Don't leave me. I want you to accompany me to watch the morning moon in the ancient desolate mountain. I want to save you. I must save you. Even if I have to betray the ancient desolate immortal domain and join the purple doe immortal domain, I will still save you. No one can stop me. It turned out that when he was still a butterfly in the true world, he was once killed by someone with a supreme sword intent. It turned out that the sword ancestor of that generation had tried to save him at all costs. Sword ancestor, Emperor Tu Ji Qingling. What kind of woman are you exactly? In the past, I was just an ordinary butterfly. Why did you risk everything to save me? As expected, I owe you a lot of karma. When I didn't know anything, when I was just an ordinary butterfly. This butterfly fossil really has great karma. This old man wasn't mistaken. Far away from the marketplace, the Black Wind Child's eyes were first filled with shock and then joy. When the survivors of the primal Pill Star region came here to sell this fossil, he could already tell that this fossil was extraordinary. What a joke. Even an idiot could see how shocking the sword intent contained in the fossil was. Unfortunately, the sword intent in the fossil was too thin and could not be used to kill people. It could only be used for enlightenment. If he could understand this supreme sword intent, there was no doubt that the strength of the Black Wind Child would increase tremendously. However, he sadly realized that he could not understand the supreme sword intent in the fossil no matter how hard he tried. That sword intent was too profound. Even a saint might not be able to understand a bit of it. What's more, the Black Wind Child had used up all the sword intent in the fossil. In the end, the fossil was only left with a shell and the left wing of the ordinary butterfly. It couldn't be wrong. That was the wing of an ordinary butterfly. It had no research value. The Black Wind Child believed that this fossil was no longer useful. That was why he put it on display and planned to sell it at a low price. His life's creed did not allow him to waste a single item. Even if this fossil had already lost its most precious sword intent and was almost like an ordinary object, he still had to sell it. He could not waste a single cent. He could not lose a single cent. Because money was supreme. Because money could move the gods. Because this was his Tao. However, never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that the item he had thought to be useless to him would display such a strange scene at this very moment. It can't be wrong. Although I don't know what the Yama kid did to this fossil. There's no doubt that the power that caused the butterfly's left wing to disappear was the power of the reincarnation laws. I've made a mistake. This time, I've really made a mistake. Who would have thought that such an ordinary fossil would actually hide the secret of reincarnation? If I can understand the reincarnation mysteries of this fossil, perhaps one day, I will be able to succeed my master and become another East Sky ancestor emperor. The Black Wind Child's eyes were filled with greed. With a flash, he disappeared without a trace. At the same time, in Mo Wenxuan's shop, Ning Fan, who was unwilling to bully others, finally made a concession to the guards around him. Since everyone is sure that the butterfly's wings in this fossil were stolen by me, how about this? I will buy this fossil. Then, I won't break the rules of the black market planet, right? Ning Fan sighed. The guards were stunned for a moment. Then they continued. Sure. According to the rules, if you want to avoid death after being caught stealing goods, you have to pay 100 times the price of the goods. This fossil is priced at 100 million Dao crystals. If you pay 10 billion Dao crystals, we can forget about this matter. 10 billion Dao crystals, huh? Fine. In the end, it's because of me that the butterfly's wings disappeared. However, I didn't expect that I would need to spend money to buy my own wings. Ning Fan did not want to put these guards in a difficult position after all. Thus, he paid according to the rules. At the end of the day, the guards here were just working for the master of the black market planet. It was not easy for them. Ning Fan's personality was like this. Unless he had a huge grudge against someone, he was never a person who was difficult to talk to. When the guards saw that Ning Fan had paid according to the rules, they immediately heaved a sigh of relief. They no longer made things difficult for Ning Fan. They took the fossil from the shelf and sold it to Ning Fan. At the moment when Ning Fan received the fossil, an overwhelming immortal emperor's aura turned into a black wind and descended from the sky. This old man does not agree to this deal. Under the shocked gazes of countless cultivators in the black market, the Black Wind Child, who rarely showed his face, appeared above Mo Wenxuan. His killing intent was locked onto Ning Fan. Chapter 1175. Child Black Zephyr rarely appeared in the outside world. However, because he was running the black market planet, he would occasionally appear in front of the cultivators under his command. Because of this, many local cultivators were familiar with Child Black Wind's aura, even though very few people knew his true appearance under the luck color. What happened? It's just a small black market theft. How could it even alarm Lord Black Wind? Mo Wenxian's guards were all shocked and hurried out to welcome the Child of Black Wind. Ning Fan also went out of the shop. He held the fossil in his hand and looked at Child Black Wind, who appeared out of nowhere. His eyes slightly sank. Although I don't want to take the initiative to provoke trouble, this person just had to provoke me. This is really troublesome. After the Black Wind Child landed on the ground, he waved his hand arrogantly and dismissed his subordinates. He did not want to pay attention to these people, nor did he want to ask what happened here. He directly walked towards Ning Fan. He had already seen the cause of the incident. The reason why he showed up now was to stop Ning Fan from buying the butterfly fossil. Slaughter Temple Master. I won't beat around the bush. Previously, I didn't discover the true value of this item, so I put it on sale in the shop. Now that I've discovered its true value, I won't sell it to you anymore. The moment Child Black Wind said this, all the cultivators that were attracted by the commotion revealed looks of surprise. Other than Child Black Wind, no one else in this place could see through Ning Fan's minor illusion technique. How could they not be shocked when they heard Ning Fan's true identity? Some of the guards of Mo Wenxian who had spoken rudely to Ning Fan just now were drenched in cold sweat at this moment. The person they scolded was actually the dignified palace lord of the Massacre Palace, the Yama of the Eastern Heaven. They were finished. Ning Fan would certainly settle the score with them, and they would die a graveless death. Ning Fan's frown deepened. Now that his identity was exposed, the entire black market planet fell into a state of shock. This was something he did not want to see. What made him even more displeased was Child Black Wind's attitude. When Child Black Zephyr saw that the butterfly fossil had triggered the mysteries of reincarnation, he wanted to unilaterally break the deal and take back the fossil. Why? Seeing that his identity was exposed, Ning Fan was too lazy to continue acting. He removed the minor illusion technique and revealed his true appearance in front of everyone. The exclamations of the entire black market planet grew louder. It's really Lord Killhall. Lord Killhall actually came to Black Market Planet. Wow, Lord Killhall is so handsome. He's even more handsome in person than the portrait. Have you heard? Previously, when Lord Killhall was hiding his identity, some low-level perfected immortals had made things difficult for him, but he was very magnanimous and did not care about those perfected immortals. He's not as unreasonable as the rumors say. Lord Killhall is too gentle. If it were any other old monster, even if they didn't kill the person who made things difficult for them, they would most likely teach him a lesson or two. I heard that the Lord of the Killhall is a playboy. I wonder if he still recruits girls to warm his bed. I heard that Lord Killhall has a strange hobby under his bed. He likes to drip wax on his whip. Just thinking about it makes me excited. I really want to be humiliated by Lord Killhall. With Ning Fan's senses, how could the discussions of the entire black market planet escape his eyes and ears? Who could tell him why the exclamations around him were becoming stranger and stranger? Those who were talking about strange things were obviously the female cultivators of the black market star. Ning Fan withdrew his spirit sense slightly. He felt extremely awkward, and did not want to listen to them anymore. His gaze fell on the Black Wind Child again and said, I've been cultivating for my entire life, but I've never heard of a market that has such a rule that allows one to forcefully take back the goods that have already been sold. Humph. Other places don't have such a rule, but it doesn't mean that my black market star doesn't have it. On this black market star, my words are the rules. The Black Wind Child said arrogantly as if he was the emperor of the black market star. Ning Fan smiled. He had always been the one bullying others. Today an 8th Tribulation Immortal Emperor actually came to his doorstep to bully him. Could it be that this person doesn't know about his various achievements in the Border River? He even killed a half-saint realm expert? A mere 8th Tribulation Immortal dares to provoke me? Is he tired of living? If this person isn't extremely stupid, then he must have some kind of trump card that makes him think that he can go against me. As an immortal emperor, no matter how arrogant he is, he won't be a stupid person. So the reason should be the latter. I'm really curious about what kind of ability this person has to make him so confident. Ning Fan was too lazy to talk nonsense with the Black Wind Child. This person was a member of the underworld. It was useless to reason with him. With a chi sound, Ning Fan flew into the sky and kept the butterfly fossil into his storage pouch. Then he sneered. Fine. You have your own rules and I have mine. This item has already fallen into my hands. It's impossible for me to return it to you no matter what. If you want it, then show me what you're capable of. Ha ha. What a great Yama of the Eastern Heaven. You're the one who asked for it. Don't think that you're qualified to inherit the Eastern Heaven Ancestral Emperor position, just because you made some contributions in the Border River. Let me tell you, in my eyes, all your achievements in the Border River are all bullshit. When my master and I were dominating the Eastern Heaven, you were still drinking milk in some unknown place. Chi, the child of Black Wind, also flew up to the sky and laughed maniacally, standing in the air with Ning Fan. Everyone was stunned by the impending battle between immortal Emperor realm experts. Some of them were excited to be able to witness such a great battle, while some of them left the black market star in a hurry, as they were afraid of being affected by the battle between immortal Emperor realm experts. Of course, most of them still chose to stay and watch the battle to increase their own comprehension. Ning Fan was not concerned about all of these. At this moment, his eyes were shining with green light. His eyesight was so powerful that it seemed like he could see through everything about the Black Wind Child. To be honest, the Black Wind Child's 8th Tribulation cultivation realm was nothing but an immortal in Ning Fan's eyes. However, for some unknown reason, the Black Wind Child, who was just an 8th Tribulation cultivation realm, actually gave Ning Fan a sense of danger. This is really unimaginable. There seems to be something strange about this person. Ning Fan muttered to himself. While Ning Fan was pondering, the Black Wind Child suddenly opened his mouth and breathed out a puff of black smoke towards Ning Fan's face. Oh, it's actually a grand cultivation realm divine ability, the law-extinguishing devil smoke. Ning Fan recognized the divine ability that the Black Wind Child used. What surprised Ning Fan was the proficiency of the Black Wind Child's divine ability. What a great Black Wind Child. He actually cultivated the law-extinguishing devil smoke to the perfect level. A cultivator with ordinary aptitude would need at least 5 million years of bitter cultivation in order to cultivate a grand cultivation realm divine ability to the perfect level. Is this Black Wind Child actually someone with such great perseverance that he is willing to spend 5 million years doing nothing just to study this law-extinguishing devil smoke? One should know that even though Ning Fan's knowledge was extensive, there were very few divine abilities that he could cultivate to the perfect level. It was because he did not have enough time. It had always been enough. Just like the Langya Heavenly Hooking Jade divine ability that he obtained in the Boundary River, the Heavenly Ox Skin Marks and the Fate-Defying Lightning Technique. Once any divine ability is cultivated to the perfect level, the power that it could unleash was not to be underestimated. At this moment, the Black Wind Child's divine ability was in such a situation. Although he was just an 8th tribulation cultivator, the law-extinguishing devil smoke that he casually breathed out could even frighten a 9 tribulation immortal emperor during the Dharma-ending era. They would choose to avoid it and not dare to face it head-on. Haha. Even though my cultivation base is low, the power of my divine abilities and techniques is something that even many half-saints cannot compare to. Do you think you can be arrogant in my territory just because you have killed a half-saint before? Today, I will let you know how high the sky and how thick the earth of this black market star is. The Black Wind Child laughed loudly. While he was laughing, Ning Fan's body was engulfed and devoured by the rolling devil smoke. However, at the next moment, the Black Wind Child could not laugh anymore. It was as if he had swallowed a fly. His smile stiffened on his face. Ning Fan was actually unscathed. He just casually took out the wind fire fan that he had not used for many years and fanned away the devil smoke that filled the sky. What? The law-extinguishing devil smoke that I have cultivated to the perfect level was actually destroyed by this kid with just a lift of his hand. This is impossible. Even if he used a low-grade innate magic treasure, it should still be impossible for him to do this. Could it be that his magic power is already so strong that he can ignore this level of divine ability? The Black Wind Child's eyes darkened. With another flip of his hand, the cloud chi of the entire black market star condensed into a dark cloud light sword in his hand. Then he raised his hand and threw it out. Wherever the dark cloud light sword passed through, the laws of heaven and earth were all shattered. The entire starry sky trembled. Oh, another grand cultivation realm divine ability? Besides, this person has also cultivated this divine ability to the perfect level. Ning Fan's expression became even more astonished. However, of course, this sword could not hurt Ning Fan at all. As Ning Fan casually flicked out a tribulation light pillar, the sword crumbled and vanished into thin air. Impossible. Even the mysterious devil heaven-slaying style can't do anything to this person. The Black Wind Child's expression became even uglier. He pointed his finger at Ning Fan again, and used the 3rd grand cultivation realm divine ability that he had cultivated to the perfect level, Immortal World Finger. However, this technique was still shattered by Ning Fan's tribulation light pillar. The force of his finger could not even get within 1,000 zhang of Ning Fan. Impossible. 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 More and more perfect divine abilities were used by the Black Wind Child. Each of them was so earth-shattering. Each of them could even make a half-saint feel troubled. Counting carefully, the Black Wind Child had already used close to 50 types of grand cultivation realm divine abilities. Moreover, each of them had been cultivated to the perfect level. However, none of them could even touch the corner of Ning Fan's clothes. This was the first time the cultivators of the Black Market Planet saw the Black Wind Child using his full strength. Everyone was shocked by the might of his divine abilities. The Black Wind Child was definitely an absolute expert among the Doomsday Immortal Emperors. Which immortal emperor in the Age of Chaos could master 50 types of grand cultivation realm divine abilities? And which immortal emperor would have so much time to cultivate all of them to the perfect level? Even a half-saint would not be able to do it. However, Ning Fan seemed to be even stronger. From the beginning to the end, Ning Fan did not even stain the corner of his clothes when facing the Black Wind Child's tide-like attacks. He did not even move half a step. Just how strong was he? In front of the Black Wind Child, Ning Fan was like an insurmountable mountain. Even if the Black Wind Child used all of his strength, he could not move Ning Fan at all. The strength of Lord Killing Hall has really surpassed all the Doomsday Immortal Emperors. The entire Black Market planet exclaimed. When these exclamations fell into the Black Wind Child's ears, it was no different from the most intense humiliation. It was as if countless hands were slapping him in the face. Impossible. This is impossible. He was an ancient great emperor, who had once followed the Eastern Sky Ancestral Emperor. How could he not even touch the corner of Ning Fan's clothes? This is impossible. Ning Fan actually has such strength. Besides, he had made great contributions in the battle at the Border River. This person is definitely the biggest obstacle for me to become the Eastern Sky Ancestral Emperor. I must kill this person. I must definitely kill this person. The killing intent in the Black Wind Child's heart became even more intense. However, his expression looked like he had admitted defeat. He withdrew all of his divine abilities and said with a bitter smile, "Ha ha ha. You're indeed worthy of being the famous Yama of the Eastern Sky. Your divine abilities are indeed shocking. I admit defeat. Fine. I'll sell this butterfly fossil to you, fellow Taoist." Who all the cultivators of the Black Market planet heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like the battle between the two great figures had come to an end. The situation did not seem to have escalated to an uncontrollable stage. This was really great. However, just when everyone thought that the battle had ended, the Black Wind Child suddenly made his move. He secretly activated a gourd and launched a sneak attack at Ning Fan. The sky behind Ning Fan suddenly split open without any warning. A gourd with billowing black chi suddenly appeared behind Ning Fan. It emitted a boundless suction force and sucked Ning Fan into the gourd. Seeing that his sneak attack was a success, the Black Wind Child was delighted. However, he was dumbfounded after a short while. He saw Ning Fan, who was sucked into the gourd, suddenly turned into an illusion and disappeared. As for the real Ning Fan, he slowly appeared on the other side of the sky like an illusion. Impossible. You actually avoided my sneak attack. Is this an illusion technique? Since when did I fall into his illusion technique? Break. The Black Wind Child's expression changed drastically. He wanted to break Ning Fan's illusion technique. Unfortunately, the binding power of Ning Fan's illusion technique was no longer the same as before. Since he had already fallen into the illusion technique, he would never be able to wake up from it. I've already shown mercy to you, the Black Market planet. However, you insist on killing me. In a battle between cultivators, it's either you die or I die. Since you want to kill me, don't blame me for being merciless. Welcome to my immemorial rainy night. In Ning Fan's right eye, the shadow of the dark samsara tree appeared. At the moment when the shadow of the tree appeared, the Black Wind Child's body trembled. Then his eyes became dazed. His entire consciousness was pulled into Ning Fan's illusion world, unable to escape. This was an illusion technique that could instantly kill a half-saint of the true lightning world. Even the soul-sucking tree with a cultivation base of half-saint realm had to commit suicide to get rid of the illusion technique. How could the Black Wind Child escape from it? Along with a miserable shriek, the Black Wind Child's consciousness was erased by Ning Fan's illusion technique, turning him into an idiot. Ning Fan did not directly destroy his primordial spirit. If the power of the immemorial Rainy Night's illusion technique was exerted to its maximum, it could even kill the true spirit of a half-saint in an instant, let alone the 8 tribulations primordial spirit of the Black Wind Child. Ning Fan spared the Black Wind Child's life, allowing him to live on as an idiot. Of course, it was not because Ning Fan was soft-hearted. If Ning Fan used the reverse spirit technique in the illusion world and read a large amount of the Black Wind Child's memories, there were some things that Ning Fan was very interested in. If he spared the Black Wind Child's life, he would still be useful. He could be used as a sacrificial offering. After the blood sacrifice, Ning Fan could obtain some benefits. If he simply kills him, wouldn't it be a waste? The number of 8 tribulations immortal emperors in the Dharma-ending era would be one less after he was killed. It would not be easy to find such a suitable sacrificial offering. Silence. The entire black market star was dead silent. No one expected that the Black Wind Child could not even scratch the corner of Ning Fan's clothes after attacking him for a long time while panting heavily. On the other hand, Ning Fan just used an illusion technique and a gaze to kill the Black Wind Child. When did the Lord of the Killing Palace learn such a terrifying illusion technique that could instantly kill an 8 tribulations immortal emperor in a single move? According to the intelligence, Ning Fan did not seem to have such a terrifying illusion technique in the past. In other words, Ning Fan had become stronger again in the recent tens of years. He was even stronger than when he was in the Battle of the Realm River. From today onwards, the Black Market Star is my territory. Next, I am going to take over the entire Black Market Star and use it as the Eastern Heaven Ring. Ning Fan said indifferently. Originally, he just wanted to buy the 6th item in a low-key manner, and then find a remote place to cultivate. However, since the Black Wind Child is seeking death, he did not mind taking over the Black Market Star. I can give this Black Market Star to the little demoness. Doesn't she like to deal with the businesses in the cultivation world? Then, I'll let her deal with the black markets of the entire Eastern Heaven. In this way, she will be the pavilion lord of the Godly Void Pavilion on the surface, while she is the owner of the Eastern Heaven black market behind her back. I reckon she will be very happy. Since I have taken over the Black Market Star, I need to deal with some of the people who are loyal to the Black Wind Child. Ning Fan's previous friendly expression changed. His eyes were filled with evil intent. His spirit sense instantly locked onto a small number of cultivators on the Black Market Star. The moment the Black Wind Child was killed, these people had the intention to kill him. To cut the weeds, one must eliminate the roots. He could be merciful to unrelated people, but to his enemies, he would only be cruel. A few days later, the incident that happened on the Black Market Star spread across the Eastern Heaven. Countless old monsters of the Eastern Heaven were shocked by Ning Fan's illusion technique that instantly killed an immortal emperor. A few more months later, the Black Market Star officially changed its owner. It became the private property of the little demoness, the chief pavilion lord of the Godly Void Pavilion. Ning Fan was not concerned about how shocking this incident would be in the Eastern Heaven. At this moment he was in seclusion to study the 6th item, Heaven-Reaching Devil Wings. The price of this item was extremely high on the Black Market Star. Its value could no longer be measured by Tao crystals. It required 10 revolutions Emperor pills to exchange for it. It was not that Ning Fan did not have 10 revolutions Emperor pills. However, after taking over the Black Market Star, he certainly did not need to spend money to buy anything. Would he need to spend money to take things from his shop? No way. Since he had already obtained the heaven-reaching devil wings, it was just a matter of time before he successfully developed the pseudo-devil cavity. However, Ning Fan did not immediately study the heaven-reaching devil wings. He was very interested in the spoils of war he obtained on the Black Market Star. Mid-grade innate magic treasure, Black Wind Gourd. This was the relic of the previous ancestral emperor of the Eastern Sky. It was stolen by the child Black Wind who had once served the ancestral emperor. Ning Fan knew that the ancestral emperor of the Eastern Sky was killed by the saint of the sacred sect of the true world across time and space, because he cultivated the heaven sealing technique without permission. That was what Sovereign II had told Ning Fan to dissuade him from cultivating the heaven sealing technique to the highest level. After searching through the child Black Wind's memories, Ning Fan found out that before the ancestral emperor of the Eastern Sky fell unexpectedly, he had a premonition that his death was near. Thus, he had given his relic to a few of his good friends. The Black Wind Gourd was not given to the child Black Wind, but to a certain good friend. However, after the ancestral emperor died, the child Black Wind went against the ancestral emperor's will and plotted against that good friend of the ancestral emperor, seizing the Black Wind Gourd. In other words, The child Black Wind was not a loyal servant of the ancestral emperor of the eastern sky, nor was he a kind person. Instead, he was a traitor of the ancestral emperor. In that case, even if Ning Fan kills the child Black Wind, he would not have to feel sorry for the ancestral emperor of the eastern sky. The entire eastern sky knew that Ning Fan was obsessed with the gourd magic treasure. When Ning Fan obtained the Black Wind gourd just now, he was extremely excited. Could it be that he had coincidentally picked up a divine tool called the Blood Chi gourd? Unfortunately, he was soon disappointed. The Black Wind gourd was not the Blood Chi gourd. His journey to find other divine tools was still very far away. However, this disappointment did not last for long because Ning Fan regained his interest in the Black Wind gourd very quickly. This Black Wind gourd is really a good item. It can actually speed up the cultivation of divine abilities. No wonder the child Black Wind could cultivate nearly 50 major cultivation realm divine abilities to perfection. Theoretically, it would take more than 100 million years to cultivate 50 major cultivation realm divine abilities to perfection. In fact, the child Black Wind did not spend 100 million years to cultivate his divine abilities. The reason why he could master so many perfect divine abilities was all because of this Black Wind gourd. This Black Wind gourd is the reason why the child Black Wind is so powerful. It is highly possible that it is also part of the reason why the ancestral emperor of the eastern sky is so powerful. On a certain remote abandoned star, Ning Fan placed the Black Wind gourd in front of him. His fingers were moving rapidly, forming a set of nameless finger seals. There were a total of thousands of finger seals in this set of finger seals. It was extremely complicated. Ning Fan formed the hand seals over and over again. He was getting more and more familiar with this set of finger seals. He began to reduce the number of finger seals. In the blink of an eye, 1 month had passed. Ning Fan had reduced this set of nameless finger seals to only 1 finger seal. Then he would be able to activate his divine abilities. Another month passed. Ning Fan did not even need to form that finger seal anymore. He finally had the qualification to enter the gourd. Let's see if the interior of this Black Wind gourd is really as bloody as what the child Black Wind remembered. With a chi sound, Ning Fan's body turned into a ray of light and flew into the gourd. The interior of the gourd was a world of its own. The sky was formed by blood. The earth was formed by blood. On the boundless blood-red continent, there were 4 blood shadows of immortal emperors sitting cross-legged in cultivation. However, when Ning Fan entered the world of the gourd, the 4 blood shadows of the immortal emperors suddenly let out a blood-curdling shriek and turned into a puddle of blood. At this moment, the life plates of the 4 immortal emperors of the eastern heaven who had sneak-attacked the child Black Wind and had been missing for many years finally shattered. It seems like the child Black Wind's memories did not lie to me. As long as the Black Wind gourd changes owners, the blood spirit inside it will collapse. In the past, when the child Black Wind obtained this gourd, he could not inherit the blood spirit of the gourd that the eastern heaven ancestral emperor had captured. Now that I have obtained this gourd, I also cannot inherit the blood spirit of the child Black Wind. Ning Fan felt a little regretful. However, fortunately, he still had a ready-made 8 tribulation immortal emperor that he could use to create the blood spirit of the gourd. It was none other than the child Black Wind who Ning Fan had spared previously. Unfortunately, the Tao Monarch Purple Thunder that I had captured previously was killed by me after I judged him, because he had massacred the members of the True Lightning clan. The other immortal emperors of the True Lightning world, and the 12 venerated lightning were all killed by me. If I had obtained this gourd earlier, perhaps I wouldn't have to kill them, and I could have used them to create the blood spirit of the gourd. Ning Fan felt even more regretful. What was the blood spirit of the gourd? The blood spirit of the gourd was something that could increase the proficiency of one's magic techniques. The Black Wind gourd was not an offensive magic treasure. Instead, it was a cultivation magic treasure. Of course, this gourd had a certain capturing ability, which allowed it to suck people in. However, that bit of suction was obviously useless against real experts. The moment Ning Fan recognized the Black Wind gourd as its master, he could bring the immortal emperors that he captured alive into the gourd world and create the blood spirit of the gourd. The person who was made into the blood spirit of the gourd would certainly die. However, Due to the mysteriousness of the gourd world, as long as the blood spirit did not collapse, the heavenly Tao in the outside world would not judge the death of the cultivator. This was the reason why the life plates of the Eastern Heaven immortal emperors did not shatter after they went missing. In fact, they had already died many years ago. It was just that the Black Wind Gourd had concealed the truth from them. The Black Wind Gourd can hold up to 7 blood spirits at most. The blood spirit can't be used in battle, but it can be used as an external incarnation to increase the proficiency of the technique. The blood spirit of the gourd has 3 grades. The low-grade blood spirit must be made from at least immortal emperors. Once it is successfully created, the blood spirit can store one of the techniques of the gourd's master and continue to cultivate in the gourd world. Cultivating this technique for a day in the gourd world is equivalent to cultivating this technique for a year in the outside world. The mid-grade blood spirit must be made from quasi-saints. Cultivating in the gourd world for a day can increase the proficiency of a single technique of the gourd's master by 10 years. The high-grade blood spirit must be made from saints. Cultivating in the gourd world for a day will increase the proficiency of the technique of the gourd's master by 100 years. Ning Fan's eyes were burning with desire. If it were other mid-grade innate magical treasures, he might not be interested in them. However, this item was obviously very useful to him. A few days later, Ning Fan created a low-grade blood spirit using the child Black Wind as the material. The blood spirit of the gourd did not have any spiritual intelligence. Even though it possessed the chi of an immortal emperor, it could not fight nor leave the gourd world. However, when Ning Fan drew a ball of light from his body with the power of the Black Wind Gourd and injected it into the body of the blood spirit, the eyes of the blood spirit of the gourd suddenly lit up as if it had come to life. It muttered to itself, "Divine ability, tree demon clone. Cultivation begins." From this moment onwards, the blood spirit of the gourd only knew to do one thing: to help Ning Fan cultivate the divine ability of the tree demon clone. This was the divine ability that Ning Fan obtained after devouring the soul-sucking tree. In the past, when the soul-sucking tree used this technique, it actually split itself into 4 clones with the same cultivation level. However, it was very difficult to cultivate this technique, and it consumed a lot of time. Ning Fan originally did not plan to cultivate it. However, it was different now that he had the Black Wind Gourd. He could totally use the blood spirit in the gourd world to cultivate this technique on his own. Using the child Black Wind as the material, he could only create a low-grade blood spirit. Cultivating the tree demon clone for a day with the low-grade blood spirit could increase the proficiency of the divine ability of Ning Fan's main body by 1 year. In other words, for every day that passes in the real world, Ning Fan could gain 1 year's proficiency of the divine ability for free. Attaining a perfect divine ability was no longer an unattainable goal. With this treasure, I no longer need to waste a lot of time practicing the divine ability repeatedly in the future. As expected of the relic of the Eastern Sky Ancestral Emperor, its profoundness is indeed beyond the imagination of ordinary people. However, this treasure has a flaw. During the period when the blood spirit is cultivating the divine ability, it will feed back the memories of the cultivation of the divine ability to me every once in a while. If it's a cultivator with a weak mental state, adding a large portion of memories of the cultivation of the divine ability to their sea of consciousness for no reason would probably cause them to suffer from chi deviation. However, I'm different. My mental state is even stronger than the child Black Wind. Since the child Black Wind can withstand the feedback of the memories of 4 low-grade blood spirits at the same time, it won't be difficult for me to withstand 7 blood spirits. If I encounter an immortal Emperor realm enemy in the future, I can temporarily not use it to refine the blood of 10,000 spirits. It's better to refine all the blood spirits in the gourd first. In this way, I can increase the proficiency of the 7 divine abilities at the same time. In the blink of an eye, 15 years had passed. Ning Fan used 15 years to comprehend the profoundness of the heaven-reaching devil wings, and officially developed the pseudo-devil cavity. The pseudo-devil cavity that he developed seemed to be a little different. Its level was far higher than the pseudo-devil cavity that Daoist Xianwei used in the past. As soon as he created it, heaven and earth determined that it was a brand new lost grade ancient devil ability. In other words, It was a brand new ancient devil ability that Ning Fan created using the pseudo-devil cavity as the foundation, and combining 6 different space-time concepts. It was obviously not accurate to call this technique as the pseudo-devil cavity. It was necessary for Ning Fan to give this technique a new name to distinguish it from the pseudo-devil cavity. What a headache. I have to give this ability a name again. I don't even have a name for the cross-shaped halo. What should I name this ability? Forget it. Let's just call it the 6 Paths Teleportation Portal. The 6 paths corresponded to the 6 different space-time concepts that were integrated into the pseudo-devil cavity. It was very appropriate. Ning Fan was too lazy to think of other names. In the 15 years that Ning Fan spent developing the 6 Paths Teleportation Portal, the proficiency of the Tree Demon clone had increased by nearly 5,500 years. The Tree Demon clone had entered the minor completion realm. In future battles, Ning Fan could create clones that had the same cultivation base as him, and fight against his enemies in a 2-on-1 battle. This technique could greatly increase his combat strength. It was equivalent to doubling his own combat strength. If one Ning Fan could not defeat him, what about 2 Ning Fans? It's about time. I can go to the Northern Heaven to have a look. I don't have to cultivate the Tree Demon clone for the time being. The Perfection Realm is too time-consuming. It won't be worth it if I only use a single low-grade blood spirit. It's better to change the cultivation content and let the gourd blood spirit cultivate the 6 Paths Teleportation Portal. After all, the 6 Paths Teleportation Portal was a new technique that Ning Fan had just developed. Its proficiency level was 0. Without a certain level of proficiency, Ning Fan would not dare to cross the world plane and head to the Northern Heaven recklessly. Thus, Ning Fan stayed in the Eastern Heaven for another 5 years. During these 5 years, he made arrangements for many matters after he left. After thinking for a long time, he still did not bring Zhongyu along to the Northern Heaven. Only by leaving a quasi-saint realm Zhongyu in the Eastern Heaven could he leave without worries. Ning Fan also left a trace of spirit sense in the Eastern Heaven. Once something happens in the Eastern Heaven, Ning Fan could use the 6 Paths Teleportation Portal to cross the world plane and return to the Eastern Heaven to provide assistance. Before Ning Fan left, Zhongyu found him again and said, "Little thief, I have a new decision regarding the reconstruction of the ancient heavenly court." She was still planning for this matter. "I'm going to the Northern Heaven soon. You can decide everything." Ning Fan answered. Niu Manshan smelled something and came to him. "Kid, your chi seems to be very different recently. Did you master some kind of powerful world plane teleportation technique? Can you bring me to the Northern Heaven?" This old man is still thinking about going to the Northern Heaven to look for his nun lover. "No, you're wrong. I don't have that level of world plane teleportation technique." Ning Fan lied without changing his expression. Niu Manshan believed Ning Fan's words like a fool. Then, when Ning Fan really tore the world plane apart and headed to the Northern Heaven, Niu Manshan was furious. "Stinking brat! How dare you lie to me?" Chapter 1176. Kid, your chi seems to be very different recently. Did you master some kind of powerful world plane teleportation technique? Can you bring me to the Western Heaven? No. You sensed wrongly. I don't have that level of world plane teleportation technique. Stinking brat, how dare you lie to me? You obviously know it. You obviously know it. Senior, please wait patiently. Once I'm done with the matters in the Northern Heaven, I will find some time to bring Senior to the Western Heaven. Ning Fan smiled faintly and transmitted his voice to Niu Manshan the moment he stepped into the teleportation portal. "Ah. How long do you want to wait? Tell me clearly." "Stinking brat, no, little friend Ning, don't go yet. Wait for me." Until the end, Niu Manshan still dreamed of going to the Western Heaven to find his old lover in the nun. Unfortunately, Ning Fan did not plan to waste time and bring Niu Manshan to the Western Heaven. It was not that Ning Fan did not want to help Niu Manshan and make him owe him a favor. It was just that he had just learned the 6 Paths teleportation technique, and there were still many problems with the technique. Even though he had the help of the blood spirit in the Black Wind Gourd, he had only spent 5 years to practice this technique. The time was still too short after all. It was obviously far from enough for him to increase the proficiency of such a heaven-defying world-plane teleportation technique by just 1,000 years. If the boundary river of the four heavens was not blocked by the seal of the immortal sovereign realm, this little bit of proficiency might be enough. However, the reality was that the boundary river of the four heavens was blocked by a force of the fourth step. With this little bit of proficiency, there was at least a 10% chance that the teleportation would fail halfway, and he would be torn to pieces by the power of time and space. According to Ningfan's estimation, he would need at least another hundreds of thousands of years of proficiency to reduce the 10% chance of encountering danger to 5%. In order to completely avoid the risk, he would need to cultivate the Six Paths teleportation technique to the Grand Completion realm. Obviously, he did not have that much time to slowly practice the Six Paths teleportation technique. Under such circumstances, Ningfan was willing to take a 10% risk to use the teleportation technique for the matter of the Northern Heaven. However, he might not be willing to risk his life for Neo Manshan to find his old lover. If it is possible, he would be more willing to bring Neo Manshan to the Northern Heaven. However, he was still worried about Neo Manshan. It is already very rare that this person does not destroy the world. If you want him to follow you to the Northern Heaven to protect the world, it would be difficult. By placing this person in the Eastern Heaven, he could still rely on the relationship between this person and Old Wu and the others to keep an eye on him and prevent him from destroying the world. Northern Heaven, on the other hand, was different. That seemed to be the place where the chaos in the Realm River was the most severe, the place where the mastermind behind the scenes was located. If Neo Manshan is bewitched by the mastermind behind the chaos in the Border River when he arrives in the Northern Heaven and directly betrays him, wouldn't Ningfan have one more Grand Cultivation Realm enemy? The dark race disappeared from the eastern sky, so it's almost certain that they went to the northern sky. The ancestor of the dark race was an ancient great cultivator. Just from this point, it could be concluded that the situation in the north sky was countless times more serious than in the east sky. There seemed to be the shadow of the Demon Conferral Summit behind this matter. It had been confirmed that behind the Demon Conferral Summit was a black-winged great demon at the Grand Cultivation Realm, who had once run to the tomb of the god of sin and let out an earth-shattering roar. I wonder if there are any other great demon-class old monsters apart from this black-winged great devil. Why did the Dark Race and the Devil Sealing Summit incite chaos in the Realm River? Are there any other unknown forces behind this? Could there be other secret clans among the 10 great secret clans that have betrayed the Purple Doe Immortal region? I hope I'm just overthinking. After Master Luan Gu was resurrected, he did not stay in the Eastern Heaven. Perhaps he went to the Northern Heaven. On the way to the teleportation formation, Ningfan's brows were tightly knitted together. He was not optimistic about the situation in the Northern Heaven. In the Northern Heaven Immortal World, people also called it the Northern Sea. The sea was also the same. It was obviously the four heavens, but it was also named after the sea. It was really strange. There was another saying in the cultivation world. The Southern Heaven upholds Tao while the Northern Heaven upholds techniques. It said that the cultivators of the Northern Heaven advocated the study of magic techniques and miscellaneous techniques, while the cultivators of the Southern Heaven advocated the study of Tao. However, it did not mean that the cultivators of the Northern Heaven were really not interested in the word Tao. At this moment, on a low-grade cultivation planet called the Turtle Immortal Planet in the Northern Heaven, there was a void fragmentation realm old monster giving a lecture to his disciples. That void fragmentation realm old monster's surname was Chu. People called him Daoist Chu. He was quite famous near the Turtle Immortal Planet. The reason why he was so famous was naturally not because of his void fragmentation realm cultivation base, but because of his Tao comprehension and his identity. According to rumors, this person was born in the Great Chu clan and had an illustrious background. Another rumor said that even though this person's cultivation base was not high, his Tao comprehension was even higher than some life immortal realm old monsters. There was also another rumor that said that this person was not actually a void fragmentation realm cultivator, but an old monster of the second step, who was hiding his cultivation base. The people who held this opinion were because they had personally witnessed a cultivator from the northern heaven division coming to look for trouble with this person. However, he was scared away by this person's shocking aura force. In the eyes of the cultivators of the turtle immortal planet, Taoist Chu had countless mysteries about him. He was a senior expert who could not be provoked. What Taoist Chu loved the most in his life was to go out and visit the Tao. Even now, the situation in Northern Sky was not optimistic, and all the sects and factions were in fear of the beast tide. Chu Taoist still insisted on his own principle. As long as the head was still there, he would pursue Tao for another day, and he could not slack off. Senior Chu, our northern heaven is clearly the sky, the starry sky. Why do some people call us the northern sea? Isn't the sea a sea? But in the vast starry sky, there is not even a drop of seawater. Why do we call ourselves a sea? Below the high altar, a local nascent soul cultivator of the turtle deity planet raised his hand in confusion and asked, "That's a good question. Actually, you're not the only one thinking about this question. Many of the famous Northern Sky elders are also thinking about this question. Ever since I was able to shatter space, I've traveled the world and visited many great teachers. I've received many different answers. In my Chu clan, there is a view that before the collapse of the four heavens, the northern sky was not a starry sky, but an ocean. It was only because of the collapse of the heaven and earth that the seawater finally dried up and disappeared without a trace. But this is only a minority view. There are not many people who share the same view as my Chu clan. Even more old monster Northski believed that the northern sea was actually using a fake word. What was the meaning of forgery? Forgery means the underworld. Isn't the starry sky of the northern sky similar to the boundless netherworld? Taoist Chu patiently explained. So that's how it is. It turns out that there are two different views about the origin of the northern sea. Since Senior was born in the Great Chu clan, you must also hold the former view, right? Someone asked. No, I don't think that the northern sky was once an ocean. Then Senior holds the latter view. Not really. I also don't think that the ancient people calling the northern sky as the underworld is a misuse. Taoist Chu shook his head again. Could it be that Senior has a third view about the origin of the northern sea? Someone asked curiously. There is indeed a third view, but this view was not raised by me. It was raised by a certain senior from the Light Clan. When Taoist Chu mentioned the Light Clan, he suddenly became secretive and stopped talking. Light Clan? I've never heard of this force. Does our northern sky have such a clan? Many cultivators of the turtle immortal planet asked doubtfully. Taoist Chu remained silent. He didn't mention a single word about the Light Clan. He didn't want to reveal anything about the secret clan to the low-level cultivators of the northern sky. Senior, why don't you talk about the third view? What is the third view that Senior is talking about? Someone asked. That day when I went out to visit the Tao, I met that Senior by chance. When I raised this question, that Senior only replied with one sentence. You can only see the stars, but you can't see the ocean. People live in the water, but they spend their whole lives looking for the ocean. How can they find it? Sure enough, the world that I see is not something that you all can see. When Taoist Chu mentioned the third view, he looked disappointed. He couldn't see the world that the senior from the Light Clan saw. What exactly does the sea of stars look like in the eyes of the senior? Silence. The entire altar suddenly became silent because of the third view raised by Taoist Chu. Those with discerning eyes knew that these few words of Taoist Chu contained shocking Tao enlightenment. However, with the comprehension of this group of low-level cultivators, they couldn't understand the profound meaning no matter how hard they thought. Thus, they could only give up. In the end, everyone had a disappointed attitude, which was no different from what Taoist Chu had shown before. While everyone was feeling disappointed, a loud roar suddenly came from the sky above the turtle immortal planet. Suddenly, a crack with monstrous devil chi appeared in the empty starry sky. The crack became bigger and bigger, and finally turned into a black door. This is... How could the low-level cultivators know what this devil door was? However, with Taoist Chu's eyesight, He could tell at a glance that this devil door was very similar to the devil cavity of the ancient demon clan. Could it be the devil cavity of the ancient demon clan? Could it be that there is another expert from the Devil Conferral Summit who wants to use this technique to descend into the beast tide? Daoist Chu was shocked at first. Then his gaze softened and he said hesitantly, "No, it's not the devil cavity of the ancient demon clan. Although it is similar, the principle is not the same." Daoist Chu looked at the huge black door that appeared out of nowhere with vigilance. Until the door disappeared, he didn't see any expert from the Devil Conferral Summit coming out from the door. Just as he was about to let out a sigh of relief, suddenly, there was a loud noise. The huge black door actually exploded. The broken devil light instantly drowned the starry sky near the turtle immortal planet. After a long time, the devil light subsided. No one knew the cause of the explosion. Even Daoist Chu didn't know the details. At that moment, it seemed that something exploded from the devil door, but it seems to be my illusion. No, I must report what happened here to the 4C sect. It's better to be safe than sorry. If it was really an expert from the Devil Conferral Summit who invaded. Thinking of this, how could Daoist Chu still have the mood to give a lecture? He dismissed all the people who were listening, and turned into a stream of light that flew away from the turtle immortal planet. He had to rush back to the Great Chu family immediately, and contact the 4C sect with the clan's magical artifact. Fortunately, the Great Chu family's true flame planet was not far from the turtle immortal planet. With the speed of the 10,000 ancient immortal venerables, he would be able to rush back in no time. Help, help! Halfway through his journey, Daoist Chu suddenly saw a low-grade cultivation planet not far away that was emitting the flames of war. By Yunqing planet. Daoist Chu spread out his divine sense, and immediately sensed that an ancient demon cavity had opened up in the sky above by Yunqing planet. It was different from the mysterious devil door from before. The ancient demon cavity in front of him was the real ancient demon cavity. An endless stream of beast tide from the realm river was killing their way out of the solitary devil cavity, and killing wantonly on this by Yunqing planet. Damn it! Right under this old man's nose, the 13th beast tide has actually descended. Daoist Chu's eyes immediately darkened. Fortunately, the highest cultivation level of the beast tide that attacked by Yunqing planet was only at the life immortal realm. Most of them were foreign race members of the first step. With his 10,000 ancient immortal venerables cultivation level, he would be able to kill all the foreign race invaders in no time. That was what he thought, and that was what he did. 1 hour later, Daoist Chu killed all the foreign race invaders and destroyed the ancient demon cavity above the planet, cutting off the possibility of more foreign race invaders descending on this planet. But even if he killed all the foreign race invaders, what could he do? Even with his help, more than 90% of the cultivators on this planet had been devoured by the beast tide. The spirit veins of the entire cultivation planet had been destroyed. According to past experience, once a beast tide appeared on a cultivation planet, there would be a second and third beast tide. This planet could no longer be inhabited. He had to seal all the space tunnels. In the end, Daoist Chu used the sealing technique passed down by the 4C sect to seal the entire Bai Yunqing planet. As for the survivors on this planet, he summoned his starboat and transported them back to the Chu family's refugee camp. This was already the 13th batch of refugees. It has only been a few years since the Devil Conferral Summit, and the foreign races of the Northern Heaven officially formed an alliance. However, there have already been 13 beast tides descending under the rule of my Chu family. In the vast Northern Heaven, how many people are being harmed or are about to be harmed by the foreign races? This is no longer something that the previous clan leaders and young clan leaders of the Chu family can handle. Even I, the founder of the Chu family, have no choice but to crawl out of the heaven-evading coffin and step into the mortal world again. Sigh. Daoist Chu let out a sigh and brought the group of refugees back to the Chu family on the True Flame planet. He did not notice that among the refugees he saved, there was one person who was actually not a cultivator of the Northern Heaven. Ning Fan. Ning Fan was also among this group of refugees. He had successfully passed through the 6 paths teleportation door, and arrived at the northern heaven. However, at the last moment when he was about to arrive at the northern heaven, something went wrong with the teleportation. I didn't expect the sealing power of the primordial ancient immortal sovereign to be so powerful. I have avoided more than 400 yang seals and 700 invisible yin seals. However, I was still ambushed by the formless seal that was hidden in the deepest place. Unless I know the existence of this formless seal beforehand, it's impossible for me to avoid it. When those ancient devils crossed the starry sky of the four heavens with their devil cavities, they must have already predicted the existence of this final seal. At this moment, Ningfan's limbs and bones were all in pain. His entire body was covered with the sealing runes of the primordial ancient immortal domain. Even his face was covered in blood. He looked extremely miserable. No one would have expected that there was a formless seal hidden in the seal that separated the four heavens from the primordial ancient immortal sovereign. It was specifically used to restrict world plane teleportation techniques like the devil cavities from crossing the seal. At the moment when he arrived at the northern heaven, Ningfan was ambushed by the seal and nearly died in the spatial rift. This was the reason why his 6 paths of reincarnation gate exploded. Fortunately, Ningfan's physical body was strong. Even if he was struck by the primordial ancient runes, and encountered a small spatial storm at the last moment, he still survived. In the shockwave of the explosion, Ningfan was sent flying all the way from the turtle immortal planet to Baiyunxing. Logically speaking, a living person being blasted to Baiyunxing by the shockwave of the explosion should have caused a commotion. However, who asked Baiyunxing to have such bad luck? He bumped into the invasion of a beast tide. When countless ferocious beasts of the foreign races borrowed the power of the ancient devil cavities to invade Baiyunxing, how could the cultivators of Baiyunxing still have the leisure to care about Ningfan's life? None of them noticed that Ningfan had fallen from the sky. All of them were busy fighting against the foreign races. Thus, when Daoist Chu suppressed the beast tide, he conveniently brought Ningfan away as a refugee. Speaking of which, Ningfan's current body was covered in wounds, dirt and grime. His body was also covered in runes. He was no different from a refugee. This is a lesson. Since I know that there is a formless seal in the primordial ancient immortal sovereign's seal other than the Yang seal and the Yin seal, no matter what happens in the future, I will never be ambushed by this formless seal again. The next time I cross the four heavens, it will certainly not be like this. Besides, even though this formless seal is powerful, it is not difficult for me to break it with my current abilities. All I need is time. The Chu family of True Flame Star. I didn't expect that I would be involved with the cultivators of this family as soon as I arrived in Northern Heaven. When I was in the Rain World, I once received help from the young clan leader of the Chu family, Chu Yuran. The Chu family and the Wei family of Heluo must be my master's friends in Northern Heaven. However, according to the information I received, the Chu family doesn't seem to have an eternal immortal venerable. The previous ancestor of the Chu family, who was on good terms with my master, was only at the life immortal realm. Since when did the Chu family of True Flame Star have an eternal immortal venerable? Those cultivators of the Chu family seem to address Daoist Chu as their ancestor. There is something strange about this Daoist Chu. His immortal lifespan should have been cut off in the long river of time. However, I don't know why he actually managed to deceive the heavenly Dao and live until today. In the refugee camp, Ningfan was thinking about the various things he had seen and heard after he arrived in Northern Heaven. Then he looked inside his body and studied the formless seal. It's very strong. This seal is extremely strong. Even though Ningfan had a way to break it, all of those methods were unorthodox methods. Obviously, it was not enough to go against the immortal sovereign of the ancient immortal sovereign realm, who was at the 4th step. As for the injuries on his body, he also needed to recuperate properly. Besides, he also needed to gather more information about Northern Heaven. Should I use the rain technique? Ningfan frowned. He did not use the rain technique to gather information within the scope of a world. Others might not recognize his rain technique, but the dark race who had interacted with him before might be able to recognize it. If the dark race knows that he has come to Northern Heaven, he could not be sure if they would secretly send people to surround and kill him. Under the situation where he knew nothing about Northern Heaven, Ning Fan did not plan to take the risk and expose his whereabouts. Then he would use another type of information gathering technique. Ning Fan picked up a stone from the ground and asked in a friendly tone, "Can you tell me what major events have happened in Northern Heaven in the past 100 years?" Not long after that, he picked up another stone and continued talking to them. In the eyes of the other refugees, his actions seemed very strange and unusual. However, no one laughed at him. Among the refugees, many of them were shocked and agitated by the invasion of the beast tide and went crazy. Ning Fan was not the only one who behaved strangely. In the eyes of many of them, Ning Fan was probably agitated and went crazy. "Miss, the refugee camp is dirty and smelly. Why did you come here? You are not a member of the Chu clan." Somewhere in the refugee camp, a maidservant covered her nose and said in disdain, "Xiao Hong, don't say such things in the future. We are staying in the Chu clan as guests. We can't just eat and drink for free. We have to contribute when we need to." The young lady named Beishir answered. She was a lady with a pure and holy aura. If Ning Fan saw her, he would certainly notice that her pure and holy aura was very similar to Si Wuxia's. However, in terms of appearance, both of them had their own merits. Both of them had the qualifications to topple a country. But isn't the young clan leader of the Chu clan a little too much? Miss is the dignified eldest miss of the Lost World Palace, and the one with the highest potential among the 4 fairies of the Bei clan. By staying in the Chu clan, Miss is giving face to the Chu clan. However, the Chu clan actually sent Miss to help these refugees settle down. It's simply an insult to Miss's identity. The maidservant chattered incessantly. "Identity? Heh. In your eyes, is my identity very honorable? I'm just a chess piece. Even my mother is just." Beishir seemed to have thought of something and her beautiful eyes turned gloomy. Even when she was sad, she was still so beautiful that it made people look at her. Looking at her eldest miss, the maidservant Xiao Hong was instantly dazed. She recalled a drama that she had heard before. 2 curved eyebrows, a pair of eyes that seemed to be happy yet not happy. Her appearance gave birth to 2 dimples of sorrow. Her delicate body was full of sickness. Her eyes were filled with tears and she was slightly panting. She was quiet like a beautiful flower reflecting the water. She moved like a weak willow swaying in the wind. Her heart was one more orifice than the stem, and her sickness was 3 times better than that of Shizi. This drama was simply describing the eldest miss. It was really pitiful. You won't understand even if I tell you more. You just need to remember that the current situation in the Northern Heaven is dangerous. The cultivators of the Northern Heaven should help each other. Even without the request of the Chu clan, I'm still willing to help them. Look, that young man is already crazy enough to talk to a rock. Beishir looked at Ning Fan's direction with a trace of sympathy and empathy in her beautiful eyes. The maidservant Xiao Hong followed the direction and saw Ning Fan, who was talking to a rock. She instantly became silent. At this moment, she felt her own shallowness. There were so many refugees who deserved sympathy, but she only knew how to complain about this place being dirty and smelly. Her personality was too lowly. Her soul was too ugly. Compared to the filthy and crazy Ning Fan, she was the one who was filthy. "Miss, I was wrong," the maidservant Xiao Hong said guiltily. It's good that you know you're wrong. Since that's the case, you will follow me to settle these refugees. Let's settle those who have gone crazy first." As she was speaking, Beishir brought her maidservant and walked towards Ning Fan with light steps. At this moment, Ning Fan was sitting on the ground and talking to a rock while enduring the pain from the runes on his body. As for Beishir, she squatted beside Ning Fan and tried her best to suppress the sympathy in her heart. Then, she spoke to Ning Fan in a tone as if she was treating him as an equal. "Don't be afraid. I will take care of you from now on, for the rest of your life." Ning Fan withdrew his spirit sense from the communication between all living beings and looked at Beishir speechlessly. Who could tell him what happened? Didn't he just ask for some information from a rock? Why was he given a care card by a young miss who came out of nowhere? This lady actually wanted to take care of him for the rest of his life. Cough cough, it shouldn't be the care that he understood, right? Sure enough, when Ning Fan activated the mind-reading technique, he could easily see through the lady's current thoughts. The mind-reading technique could see through a lady's thoughts. This technique needed to be used together with Ning Fan's language guidance. For example, Ning Fan purposely asked a question to make the lady think. As long as the lady starts to think about this question, Ning Fan would be able to pry into her inner thoughts. However, if Ning Fan did not take the initiative to guide her, he would only be able to see what was going on in her mind. So that's how it is. It's my misunderstanding. It turns out that this lady is just treating me as a refugee who has gone crazy. She is pitying me. Ning Fan heaved a sigh of relief. He had a lot of women. He did not want to attract a peach blossom as soon as he arrived in Northern Heaven. Obviously, Beishir was not a rotten peach blossom that would entangle him. Do you still remember your name? I'm Beishir. What about you? Beishir asked. Beishir. It was as if he had heard this name before, but he could not remember it. Ning Fan did not continue to pry into the lady's mind. He thought for a while and answered out of courtesy. My name is Ning Fan. Ning Fan? I feel like I've heard this name somewhere before. Beishir knitted her brows. However, she soon relaxed her brows. It was probably a coincidence. In this world, there were plenty of people with the same name and surname. The life of a cultivator was long and they would meet millions of people. There was nothing wrong with feeling that someone's name was familiar. Fortunately, you still remember your name. You didn't go completely crazy. Beishir heaved a sigh of relief for Ning Fan. I'm not crazy. Ning Fan became even more speechless. However, he was too lazy to explain the mysteries of communicating with this lady. I'm sorry. You're not crazy. It's my fault. Beishir hurriedly apologized to Ning Fan, as she was afraid that she would trigger the madman's emotions. Forget it. Ning Fan was too lazy to care about Beishir. Even if he explains it 10,000 times, she will still think that he is a madman. No one would believe a drunkard who says that he is not drunk. Chapter 1177. The Chu clan had taken in a large number of refugees. Naturally, it was impossible for them to live in vain for the rest of their lives. Under Beishir's arrangement, most of the refugees had joined the True Flame Star and became part of the Chu clan's cultivators. In just one day, they had settled down. As for those who were seriously injured, Beishir took special care of them and kept them by her side for treatment. There were about 1,000 seriously injured people who stayed by her side. Ning Fan was just one of them who was unremarkable. At first, Beishir wanted to treat Ning Fan's mental illness. However, compared to Ning Fan's mental problem, the other injured people were either unconscious or had their primordial spirits half destroyed. All of them were more serious than Ning Fan. As such, Beishir could only treat those who were on the verge of death first. Once she got busy, she forgot about Ning Fan. On the True Flame Star of the Chu clan, it was Ning Fan's second day in Northern Heaven. At this moment, he was sitting cross-legged in a ward built with grass huts to treat his injuries. When he arrived in Northern Heaven yesterday, he was injured by the Immortal Sovereign's formless seal and the space-time storm. His injuries were extremely serious. Fortunately, his physical body's recovery speed was already astonishing. He had plenty of 9 Revolutions golden pills and Emperor pills to treat his injuries. On the second day in Northern Heaven, his injuries had already recovered by 10% and his chi was much smoother. Lost ancient god technique, divine healing. Outside the window, the faint voice of a young lady casting a technique could be heard. That voice carried a sacred and inviolable majesty. It came from Beishir's mouth. Ning Fan followed the voice and spread out his spirit sense to observe secretly. It turned out that Beishir was treating a dying patient in an intensive care ward not far from his room. The patient was just a gold core realm cultivator. Because of the beast tide, half of his physical body was destroyed. Even his gold core that he had cultivated for 200 years was shattered. In such a situation, there was usually no way to save him. However, it also depended on who did it. If it was someone at Ning Fan's level, it would be a piece of cake to save this person. However, Beishir was just a peak ghost profound realm cultivator. It would be extremely difficult to save this person with her cultivation base, unless she used pills. Beishir's entire body was enshrouded in ancient divine light. Her wide sleeves fluttered in the wind, making her look like an ancient immortal. The way she chose to save him was to use a lost ability of the ancient gods. The divine light on her body was not the real light of the ancient gods, but it was just the light of the fake ancient gods. As an ancient god of ancestral blood, Ningfan could easily judge this point. Under the illumination of Beishir's divine light, the dying cultivator's gold core was first restored, and then his broken body began to grow again. In just the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he was completely unharmed and came back to life. "Thank you for saving my life, Senior." The wounded man was moved to tears. "It's nothing much, it's not worth mentioning. Even though your life has been saved, your foundation is still damaged. Within 10 years, you must not use your magic power recklessly. You need to rest and recuperate." Beishir's face was full of seriousness as she warned the Gold Core Realm cultivator. She did not put on any airs. Healing the wounded and dying was an extremely common thing in the long river of her life. After resting for a while, Beishir went to the next ICU and started to treat the next patient. Ancient God's Lost Technique, God Heal. Under the illumination of Beishir's divine light, another deity transformation cultivator, whose primordial spirit was half destroyed, recovered in no time. Ancient God's Lost Technique, God Heal. Ancient God's Lost Technique, God Heal. Ancient God's Lost Technique. Ningfan's eyes revealed a strange expression. He did not expect to encounter an extremely miraculous lost technique of the ancient gods when he just arrived in Northern Heaven. People say that Northern Heaven respects techniques. This saying was indeed true. If he was in Eastern Heaven, it was extremely rare to encounter the lost technique of the ancient gods. However, that was all. After all, Beishir was just a fake ancient god. She did not cultivate the bloodline of the ancient gods. The destructive power of the lost technique of the ancient gods that she used was not enough to attract Ningfan's attention. Compared to the time when he just arrived in Northern Heaven, he was now dressed cleanly. His appearance had already regained his usual elegant demeanor. After consuming more than 10 revolutions golden pills, Ningfan decided to take a short rest and delay his treatment. While resting, he did not forget to gather information about Northern Heaven from the flowers, grass, branches and stones. Thus, when Beishir finished treating a batch of patients and passed by Ningfan's ward in exhaustion, she saw such a strange scene. A handsome man was actually having a heart-to-heart talk with a potted flower like a fool. Awkward. 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 Feeling the gaze of the young lady outside the ward, Ningfan remained silent for a while. Then he placed the potted flower back on the windowsill. After that, Ningfan heard the young lady let out a faint sigh. That sigh was filled with immense sympathy. It's not easy for you either. After I finish treating all the heavily injured patients, I will come and help you. Just wait for me for a few days. Even if the entire world abandons you, I will never abandon you." Beishir sighed faintly and left. Ningfan was left alone in the ward, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Am I being treated as a lunatic again? I actually won the sympathy of this young lady. Even if the entire world abandons you, I will never abandon you. Such mushy words of love were used to comfort a lunatic. Ningfan could not bring himself to laugh. In the blink of an eye, it had been 5 days since Ningfan arrived in Northern Heaven. Under the treatment of a large amount of 9 revolutions pills, Ningfan's injuries had already recovered by 30%. Out of the 1,000+ patients that were arranged to stay here, Beishir had already treated more than 400 of them. As for the remaining patients, most of their lives were no longer in danger. As long as there was enough time, Beishir was confident that she could make all of them recover. Under such circumstances, Beishir finally had the space to deal with Ningfan's problem. That was her plan. However, who would have thought that another cultivation planet near the true flame planet of the Chu clan would be attacked by a beast tide at this critical moment? It was the 14th beast tide that the Chu clan had encountered within their territory. Another large group of refugees and injured patients were brought back to the Chu clan by Taoist Chu. Without a choice, Beishir could only treat the newly arrived cultivators who were on the verge of death first. She had no choice but to put Ningfan's problem at the back of her mind. She really wanted to give some care to the mentally ill patients. Unfortunately, she was too busy. She was so busy that she could only pass by Ningfan's ward for a short period of time every day. She was so busy that she did not even have time to greet Ningfan. Every time she passed by Ningfan's ward, she would steal a glance at him to see what he was chatting with today. She remembered that Ningfan was chatting with the dogtail grass the day before yesterday. 3 days ago, Ningfan seemed to be chatting with mud. Yesterday he was chatting with a moss. Today Ningfan picked up a mushroom from somewhere, and he was actually chatting with it. A handsome young man chatting with a mushroom. Oh my God! That scene is just too beautiful. Beishir felt that her sympathy was about to overflow. When she has some free time, she must cure Ningfan. She must. On the 15th day, she finally had some free time again. She decided to have a good chat with Ningfan. She had prepared more than 20 sets of words to enlighten Ningfan about his mental illness. She was even willing to sacrifice herself and play the role of a mushroom to have a deep conversation with Ningfan. She had thought of all kinds of scenarios. However, she did not expect that when she passed by Ningfan's ward again, Ningfan was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Without any reason, Beishir felt a sense of loss. She didn't even have the time to treat Ningfan, but he left. However, Beishir was never a sentimental person. Ningfan's departure was just an insignificant small wave in her life. She still had too many things to do. After she cured a large number of patients, the young clan leader of the Chu clan sent someone to look for her. Monsieur, something bad has happened. Our Chu clan is about to face a great calamity. The young clan leader ordered me to invite you to the True Flame Hall to discuss the urgent military situation. Looking at the anxious messenger of the Chu clan, Beishir's beautiful face changed. She hurriedly followed the messenger to the True Flame Hall of the Chu clan. Ningfan was unaware of all these. At this moment, he had already cured most of his injuries and left the Chu clan. He could not cure the remaining injuries because his body was obstructed by the formless seal of the immortal sovereign of the Antiquity era. In order to fully recover, he needed to break the seal in his body. To do so, he needed external help. The reason why Ningfan left the Chu clan now was to look for external help. During these days, he stayed in the Chu clan. Other than healing his injuries, he also inquired about a lot of information about the Northern Heaven. Thus, he had a preliminary understanding of the war situation in the Northern Heaven. The situation in the Northern Heaven was indeed much more serious than the Eastern Heaven. One should know that when Ningfan was fighting in the Eastern Boundary River, he was only facing a small force of the foreign race. The true experts of the foreign race were all sealed under the water. They did not have a direct confrontation with the cultivators of the Eastern Heaven at all. Even so, the Eastern Heaven's side was still losing ground. If it wasn't for Ningfan turning the tide and successfully repairing the immortal sovereign's seal, the Eastern Heaven would probably fall into the enemy's hands. The situation in the Northern Heaven was even more serious than the Eastern Heaven. According to the information, the seal on the surface of the Northern Boundary River had already been completely broken tens of years ago. The foreign races at the Quasi-Saint realm could get out of the water at any time. The entire Northern Boundary River had truly become the territory of the foreign races. No cultivators of the Northern Heaven dared to run wild in the Northern Boundary River. Even the Quasi-Saints of the Northern Heaven did not dare to go there alone. The foreign races that the cultivators of the Northern Heaven were facing had mobilized their entire army, and had quasi-saints of the foreign races participating in the war. There was also a rumor that there was an ancient great demon similar to the blood god Gung Wu in the army of the foreign races in the Northern Boundary River. Countless cultivators of the Northern Heaven were eaten alive by that great demon. If it wasn't for the Four Meridians sect who asked the secret races of the Northern Heaven to take action, and fought against the foreign races 11 times at the border of the Northern Boundary River, the Northern Heaven might have already fallen into the enemy's hands. After 11 bloody battles, the cultivators of the Northern Heaven paid a heavy price even though they managed to fend off the foreign race's army with great difficulty. There were 11 immortal Emperor realm experts on the Northern Heavens side, and even 2 of their quasi-saints had their cultivation base reduced. Fortunately, when the cultivators of the Northern Heaven were almost in despair, an eyeball monster of mysterious origin suddenly joined the Northern Heavens camp with an innate bow spirit. They helped the cultivators of the Northern Heaven to temporarily repel the great demon of the foreign races. The entire world was shocked. No one knew the origin of that eyeball monster. However, some people claimed that the eyeball monster was a great cultivator from the ancient times. With the addition of the eyeball monster, the Northern Heaven finally had some confidence in facing the army of the foreign races. However, good times didn't last long. In just a few years, another thunderbolt fell from the sky and shocked the cultivators of the Northern Heaven. The Devil Conferral Summit that had disappeared in the long river of history had reappeared. Moreover, the Devil Conferral Summit had actually reached some kind of alliance with the foreign races of the Boundary River, and threatened to destroy the Northern Heaven together. Those old monsters, which one of them wasn't afraid of the ominous name of the Devil Conferral Summit? One had to know that the Devil Conferral Summit wasn't an ordinary power. It was an existence that was equally famous as the 10 great secret races. Only with the 10 secret races added together could they be compared to the ancient Devil Conferral Summit. Even if the Northern Heaven had 3 secret races, could the 3 secret races defeat the Devil Conferral Summit? No one believed this. Regarding the invasion of the Devil Conferral Summit, none of the cultivators of the Northern Heaven had the confidence to face it. Even the strong secret races felt panicked and lost. Pessimists even thought that as long as the Devil Conferral Summit got involved in this war, the Northern Heaven would completely fall within 10 years, or even less. As a result, on the Northern Sky side, a faction of surrendering began to appear. They suggested that the Northern Sky cultivators directly surrender to the outsiders and the allied forces of the Devil Conferral Summit. They hoped that through a certain degree of concession and sacrifice, the Northern Sky cultivators would continue to exist. This kind of public opinion of surrendering became the mainstream of Northern Sky's cultivators. But what made the surrendering faction feel awkward was that after the Devil Conferral Summit appeared, they didn't directly participate in the war or attack Northern Sky. Instead, they used the Devil's Cavity as a method to occasionally release strange race beast tides towards Northern Sky. They seemed to want to use this kind of small method to obstruct Northern Sky's cultivators. This matter didn't conform to the Demon Conferral Summit style of massacring a whole world at the slightest disagreement, causing the Northern Sky to be puzzled no matter how hard they thought about it. However, it was also because of this that Northern Sky was still able to struggle at death's door. They had not been completely defeated by the Demon Conferral Summit and the foreign races. Ancient Heavenly Courts, Demon Manor, Devil Conferral Summit, 10 Great Secret Clans. Ning Fan's expression turned grim. He silently recalled the 4 strongest forces in the illusionary world 1 billion years ago. Ning Fan did not dare to underestimate the intervention of the Devil Conferral Summit. 1 Devil Conferral Summit was equivalent to 10 secret clans. This statement was definitely not a joke. It must not be taken lightly. However, the Devil Conferral Summit had once disappeared from the long river of history. Now that it has reappeared in this world again, it might not necessarily retain its former strength. Many of the devils of the Devil Conferral Summit in the past had also died in the long river of time. This is something that I can be sure of. The reason why the Devil Conferral Summit didn't directly join the war is probably because their strength has been weakened. They want to preserve their strength to a certain extent, and watch the battle between Northern Sky and the foreign races. Of course, it's also possible that the Devil Conferral Summit's unreasonable behavior has some kind of scheme behind it. The cultivators of Northern Sky only know that the Devil Conferral Summit and the Devil Conferral Summit have joined forces. However, they don't know that there are also secret clans like the Dark Race who have defected to the foreign races. If this matter is spread out, I'm afraid that the surrendering faction of Northern Sky will be even more determined to surrender to the enemy. The one who helped the cultivators of Northern Sky to fight against the foreign races should be Senior Eyeball. As expected, he couldn't just sit and watch when Northern Sky is in danger. What's strange is that there isn't any news about Master Luan Gu among the information I obtained. This doesn't match my previous speculation. Is Master Luangu really in Northern Sky? If he is, where would he be now? Ning Fan's brows were tightly knitted together. His mind was filled with speculations. It's useless to think too much about it. In the end, a war needs to be fought with force. Therefore, the most important thing now is to break the seal in my body, heal all my injuries and restore my peak strength. Only when I'm at my peak can I have a slight impact on the situation in Northern Sky. The current me isn't enough. There are several ways to break the formless seal. Among them, the fastest way is to absorb external energy and break the seal. Before coming to Northern Sky, I had asked Old Wu for the star map of Northern Sky. According to the star map, Old Wu's nest, the Black Fate sect, is hidden somewhere in the starry sky not far away from the Chu clan. According to Old Wu, there is a giant corpse of Sinli hidden in the Black Fate sect. To me, this item is of great use. It can allow me to truly cultivate the Fu Li Yin Yang. Now I can absorb the energy of that corpse and break the formless seal. It's killing two birds with one stone. Without Old Wu's guidance, it's almost impossible for others to find the entrance of the Black Fate sect's star world. Even if they find it, they might not dare to enter. The two words Dark Fate are the greatest curse in the world. However, this curse can't scare me. Qi Ning Fan turned into a ray of light and searched in the starry sky. Along the way, he passed by the White Fate planet where the Beast Tide broke out that day, and the Turtle Immortal planet where Taoist Chu held a lecture. After flying for an unknown period of time, he suddenly stopped at a certain place in the starry sky. Then he took out the treasure-searching compass and determined his direction. After a long time, he suddenly locked onto a certain direction and drew out the ocean-defying sword. Then he thrust the sword downwards. A strange scene appeared. The ocean-defying sword was clearly piercing into the void space, which was dark and lightless. However, the spot where it pierced suddenly erupted with dazzling starlight. Moreover, an incomparably huge 9-winged black tortoise totem appeared in the starry sky. It seems like I've found the right place. This is the entrance of the Black Fate sect's star world that Old Wu mentioned. Qi Ning Fan used his index finger to point at a few key spots on the black tortoise totem from afar. As he pointed at the correct spots, the totem gradually turned from illusory to solid, turning into a giant door made of starlight. Then the giant door opened. Black smoke billowed out from the door and swept towards Ning Fan. That was the power of Dark Fate. Even if an ordinary old monster of the Northern Sky possessed the cultivation base of a quasi-Saint Realm expert, he would have to retreat if he was suddenly attacked by such a large-scale Dark Fate. However, Ning Fan was different. He was a cultivator of Black Fate, a member of the Fu Li sect. He was the filthiest person in the world. Why would he be afraid of Dark Fate? Devour. Ning Fan opened his 7-colored Great Umbrella of Luck and directly devoured the billowing Dark Fate. Theoretically, the reverse Big Dipper divine ability that was passed down in the Slaughter Palace could only help cultivators cultivate 7-colored luck. However, under Ning Fan's modification, his Great Umbrella of Luck could continue to grow stronger through devouring. 7-colored luck was not its limit. After a round of devouring, the luster of Ning Fan's Great Umbrella of Luck became even more dazzling. He used the umbrella to protect the top of his head, and calmly stepped into the territory of the Black Fate sect. At the moment he stepped inside, the giant door closed. Some busybodies were attracted by the fluctuations of this place. However, they arrived too late and could not see anything. All they could do was to stare and sigh. The Black Fate sect was a great taboo in the Northern Sky. Be it the former old ancestor Black Fate or the current owner of the Dark Fate sect, Old Wu Ba, both of them were well-known figures. They were existences that even the secret races were not willing to offend. As the master of Old Wu Ba, the treasures of the Black Fate sect were Ning Fan's treasures. Ning Fan had long wanted to plunder the lands of the Black Fate sect. Now that he had arrived at the territory of the Black Fate sect in the Northern Sky, he naturally did not plan to return empty-handed. As soon as he entered the Black Fate sect, Ning Fan sensed a massive aura occupying a corner of the sect. If he was not mistaken, The owner of that aura was none other than the giant corpse of Sinli that old Wu had mentioned. Master, the demonic chi here makes Black Devil feel uneasy. Black Devil, I'm afraid. Little Cat's nervous voice resounded in Ning Fan's mind. As the 9 raccoon that was ranked 4th in the Dao Hun clan, and a member of the royal clan, Little Cat's eyes had always been high and mighty. She was not afraid of anything in the heavens or the earth. However, now that she was facing the evilly giant corpse that had died countless years ago, she felt a little nervous. Is this the might of the Fu clan? Ning Fan faintly felt that he seemed to have underestimated the Fu clan in the past. When this clan was at its peak, their strength might be extremely terrifying. Don't be afraid. There won't be any danger. Ning Fan comforted her. But Black Devil can't suppress the fear in her heart. Master, can you hug Black Devil? She actually wants a hug. Ning Fan was slightly speechless. However, when he thought about it again, he realized that this little cat was rarely this helpless. If that was the case, he should indeed comfort her a little. Thus he released Black Devil. Black Devil, who was in the form of a young girl, immediately squeezed into Ning Fan's arms and turned into a little cat whose fur was standing on end. I really don't know what to do with you. Ning Fan patted Black Devil's little head and smoothed out all her fur. Perhaps Black Devil finally found a sense of security in Ning Fan's arms. She curled up into a ball lazily and fell asleep in Ning Fan's arms. Seeing that Black Devil was no longer afraid, Ning Fan felt relieved and walked towards where the evilly giant corpse was. Along the way, he kept devouring the dark luck in this place. Not long after, the enormous dark luck that had been lingering in this place for countless years was completely devoured by Ning Fan's big umbrella of luck. Didn't they say that not even quasi-saints would dare to step into this place? Very soon, Ning Fan arrived in front of the evilly giant corpse. It was a evilly that had died countless years ago. It was a gigantic black tortoise with 9 wings. Ning Fan was hesitant because this evilly had been dead for many years. He could not accurately determine the time of its death and its cultivation base before it died. However, he could tell that this evilly was at least in existence that was infinitely close to the 3rd step when it was alive. It was not an ordinary evilly. It was the ancestor of evilly. Evilly was the sinner of the Fu clan. It was the slave of the clan. As for the ancestor of evilly, it was the strongest evilly of the same generation. Master! All of a sudden, an excited voice resounded in Ning Fan's ears. It was the voice of the evilly giant corpse. It was the voice of the bloodline that only the members of the Fu clan could hear. Master! Li Qin knows his mistake. Is Li Qin the name of this evilly when it was alive? Li Qin knows his mistake. Master! Please destroy my broken corpse and grant me freedom. This evilly giant corpse was begging Ning Fan to destroy its broken corpse. He wanted to be freed. He knew that he was wrong. Ning Fan remained silent. He did not know what kind of mistakes this Li Qin had committed when it was alive. Today, he was here to devour the power of this evilly giant corpse. Naturally, he would not mind freeing him and destroying his corpse. Li Qin knows his mistake. Master, please forgive me. Please grant me freedom. The evilly giant corpse was still begging. He could feel that if he misses out on Ning Fan, it would be difficult for him to wait for the next Fu demon ancestor to grant him freedom and cleanse his sins. All right. With the order of the Fu demon ancestor, I grant you freedom from today onwards. Thank you, Master. The voice of the bloodline no longer sounded. Finally, it fell into a deep slumber. As for the evilly giant corpse, it began to decay at an astonishing speed. It only dared to dissipate because Ning Fan allowed it to. In just 10 breaths of time, the evilly giant corpse turned into a skeleton. In another 10 breaths of time, even the skeleton was eroded to the point that nothing was left. At the original spot, there was only the stench of the rotting corpse and the huge amount of blood essence of the Fu clan. Of course, Ning Fan would not let the bloodline of the Fu clan dry up. All the evilly clan members were Fu clan members who had committed crimes. Their bloodline was also the Fu clan's bloodline in essence. It was Ning Fan's first time finding such a high-grade Fu blood essence. How could he waste it? For the next 7 days, Ning Fan continued to devour the blood essence of the Fu Li clan in this place. 7 days later, Ning Fan suddenly stood up. The ancestral blood of the Fu Li clan had increased by 1 drop. He had truly succeeded in cultivating the Fu Li Yin-Yang divine art. Even though the ancient demon's cultivation base was still at the 3rd tribulation of the Eternal Era, the total amount of magic power he possessed had increased by around 200 tribulations, causing Ning Fan's total magic power to reach an astonishing 13,700 tribulations. It's a pity. That evil Li ancestor has passed away for too long. Even though the blood essence in his body has yet to dry up, it's not much different from being dried up. If it wasn't for that, my ancient demon cultivation base would definitely be able to improve even more. Ning Fan felt a little regretful. What he did not know was that those who had magic power beyond 10,000 tribulations in the Dharma-ending era were basically all quasi-saint realm old monsters. If these old monsters wanted to increase their magic power by 200 tribulations without any continuation, they would need at least tens of millions of years of hard cultivation. It could be said that after 10,000 tribulations, every tiny improvement would be a huge leap in the quasi-saint realm, increasing his magic power by 200 tribulations in 7 days. If there was any quasi-saint realm old monster who had such an encounter, he would wake up smiling even in his dreams instead of being as discontented as Ning Fan. Of course, the total amount of a quasi-saint realm expert's magic power was not the deciding factor. Besides, the strength of one's magic power did not only depend on the quantity, but also the quality. Ning Fan's total magic power was certainly frightening. However, because his cultivation base had been advancing too quickly in recent years, the purity of his magic power was rather low. However, there was one thing that Ning Fan was still very satisfied with. The formless seal in his body had finally been completely broken by the external impact of the Fu Li ancestor's blood essence. After another 5 days, Ning Fan had fully recovered from all the injuries in his body. Currently, he had completely recovered to his peak state. Since that's the case, I'll leave after I'm done looting the treasury of the Black Fate sect. With Ning Fan's current wealth, he no longer had much expectations for the treasury of the Black Fate sect. He conveniently took all the treasures that old Wu Ba and his disciples had kept for many years and left. After returning to the starry sky of the northern heaven, Ning Fan was thinking about where he should go next. All of a sudden, he seemed to have sensed something and looked in the direction of the Chu clan's true flame star. At this moment, he saw that the starry sky of the entire star region was dyed red by the fiery light. The Chu clan seems to be in trouble. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.